What's up, everyone? Andres Gambo here with another episode of the Ponytails Podcast. You are listening to the podcast that interviews people who went door to door selling books while they were in college for a company called Southwestern Advantage. This is an 80-hour-week job, no guarantees, sometimes not even a place to live. And we ask some questions about entrepreneurship. You're going to learn a lot about all sorts of different things. On this one, we are meeting up with Avery Housley, who's here. She actually just joined our team very recently. But we wanted to make sure we got her an episode because she has some fun stories to tell, and we have some cool discussions to have about the company itself and the experience people have, as always. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Avery sold for 6 summers, part of the JYD organization, and she is originally from Stillwater, Minnesota, went to North Dakota State University, and sold from 2017 to 2022. So she just got done this last summer. Her favorite Augmentino squirrel from her 6 summers is number 7. I will laugh at the world. I am super excited. She is super fun to talk to, and we are very lucky and honored to have her on the show. We'll see you guys in a bit. Ponytails Podcast. Boom. Welcome to the show.
Boom. Boom. That's what I always like to say, Andres. Boom.
We have a fuck counter. Should we have a boom counter?
We should have a boom counter. We should.
Okay, that's at least 4. Amy, you're gonna be a little. She's in the background. Amy's our producer. Everybody say hi. Thanks, Amy. We need to give Amy some.
Thank you, Amy, for all that.
She's a hard worker. She does a lot here on the show. We need to give her some more recognition. And she never sold books, which we forgive her for that. But she works like a book person, and so. Thank you so much, Amy, for that. But hopefully you could create a boom counter. I think we're up to number 6 now, but now we have a boom counter. These people are like, "What the hell is this?" People have already left the episode and go and listen to Joe Rogan or Crime Junkie or some shit like that. Screw this. I'm going over to whatever. Thanks for being here, though. Honestly.
Me? Oh,
yeah,
man. Thank you. I mean, this has been so fun. Not only to listen to Ponytails and discover it in the past couple of years, but to now be a part of it and be on the team and get to learn everything that goes into this, and also from you and connect with you and Amy and Jacob and Naomi, and then also to be on the show. Like, this is so cool to me. I'm so happy to be here. So thank you.
That's awesome. I'm glad. Hopefully you have the experience looking back years later. We can look back on how much fun this was, working with us and all that. So, or maybe you'll be with us. Maybe you're a lifer. Oh, maybe you're
for lifer.
Maybe like one of those people that becomes a DSM.
And past a for lifer. Now I don't know a for lifer. Dan Moore was my for lifer, and now Dan, he's moving on.
Gone.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, you and I were talking about how like anyone who's sold books in the last 40 years knows Dan Moore.
So he sold in like the mid 70s or late 70s. Either way, he sold a long time ago. If you sold from like the 70s, I don't think there's a book person that sold that doesn't know who Dan Moore is. That's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy. Dan,
even like
you want to hear
and stuff.
Do you want to hear a fun story about Dan and I? A quick one.
That is kind of the point of why.
All right. Well then.
No, actually, stop talking.
And that's it. That's it. Boom.
Big boom.
Okay.
Shortest episode ever. 4 minutes. See everyone.
Here we go. This is we get. It'll actually start with like I'll start with how I learned about Southwestern. How's that? And then
let's jump into that. Okay. Let's do it. Fuck it.
So I was just a cold recruit, meaning that somebody just had my phone number and called me. Austin Rorick, bless his soul, big shout out. I hope these people listen to this because I'm about to do a lot of shout outs this whole podcast. A lot of people impacted me in my journey. Austin Rorick called me. I learned about the program. Right away, I was like, yes. Everything sounded great. The money sounded really cool. And the building my resume for the future sounded really cool. So that's why I was like, okay, I got to do this. I don't care if I make a cent this summer. Like, I'm going to work 80 hours a week because that sounds hard. And nobody else, nobody does that, right? Nobody works 80 hours a week. So I call
Have
my
you always
mom
been that
right
way?
after.
Oh,
No,
sorry if I interrupt with some questions. I just want to get to know you
that's
a little
okay.
bit too. But have you always been that way, where you're like, if it sounds hard, I'm going to do it, or what? Like, what? Why then, and why now? If it's not like how you are.
Um, my freshman year of college was really like there. I don't know. For some reason, I got on a really good schedule. It was probably just freshman year of college, and I just started taking care of myself a lot more, like working out consistently at the same
Mhm.
time. I mean, I would still take naps and get drunk in college and stuff, whatever. But I just felt like I was learning a lot in the first couple, even actually the second semester of college, and then learning about Southwestern in March of my freshman year. I even felt like more confident, just because it sounded like something that was going to be worthwhile. It was like one summer. To me, I was like, 3 months is nothing. Like,
Hmm.
whatever, like it's 3 months. If I don't like it, if I hate it, I don't have to do it again. It's just 3 months. And actually, Austin talked to me about that in the interview process, and that helped my perspective a lot because I had FOMO. I didn't want to miss out on anything back at home. But I call my mom.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah. I call my mom right after the info meeting, and I'm like, "Mom, I'm in the interview process for this thing. Like, he actually sent the other girl outside." Like, now knowing that like the psychology behind that, right? Which I mean, I don't know what that girl was like or what her criteria was. I don't remember, but um, I remember I like dressed nice and everything for the info meeting. Like, I was so like, "Oh my gosh, like an internship." Like, I wasn't looking for an internship. That was not my plan. I was just gonna go home and probably serve or something. Um, and so yeah, I call her and I'm super excited. Like, I get to travel and like I get to build my resume and I can make so much money. And then of course she asked me all these questions and she's like, Avery, it's a scam. They're gonna take all your money. Like, no, you're not doing it. And me being the little stubborn 19-year-old I was like, if I get selected for it, I'm gonna do it. Like I was just like, like I wasn't that sassy, but I was just like, "Mom, if I fail, let me fail. So I'm gonna do it. Like if this is a bad decision on my end, then I need to learn from that. Like I can't
You
like,
know, it's so funny that, like, because there are MLMs out there where they do take your money, and I'm not, just to so we don't get sued here, I'm not gonna like talk about them specifically, but there
right,
are some that it's like
right.
you actually have to pay to get in, and you don't even get in unless you bring 3 of your friends. That's like the whole part of the
Yeah.
pyramid thing, right? Whereas with this, it's like, sure, it might be structured like a brokerage where, like, yeah, commission base
Mhm.
pays up, right? But at the end of the day, it costs you nothing
Yeah.
but a trip to Nashville, which, worst case scenario, it's like, "Hey, you wanna come get to know Nashville?" Like, "Oh gosh,"
Well, I just
like,
yeah. Oh, I have to
"You
go
wanna
to
come
Nashville.
travel?"
Yeah.
Which is a
Yeah.
great town. So, it's interesting that, like, when you said that to your mom, "Let me fail," I think that's a great. I'm amazed parents don't let kids do that more often. Like, I'm amazed parents have such strict rules against doing Southwestern, because it's like, what's the worst that's gonna happen?
Right.
Like,
Right. And she knew nothing. Like she didn't know anything about it. She had never heard of it, right? So I can understand why that was her first like,
right.
no,
Yeah,
Avery,
where
like
where
you're a
she's at,
good
yes.
girl. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But when
but
some
there's
people
parents later
still
after, like, after the parent visit, and they're still, like, against you. You're like, "Well, come on."
yeah,
The
you're like, "We're
kid's a
not
10
your kid's actually
20-year-old
choosing
kid.
to do this." Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. They were my parents, like, I really trusted their opinion too, like, what they thought of what I did at that time was, like, huge to me. But for some reason, I was like, I trust these people, like, I don't they never told me it cost like, if it cost something, I instantly would have been like, "No, like, I don't wanna pay
Yeah.
anything just to" you know? Um, so anyway, that was that conversation. Then she did the parent call with Austin, and heard that Marsha Blackburn had done this. Um, and Marsha, so my mom actually ran for U.S. Senate. My mom's in politics. I don't know if you know that actually, yeah. But she ran for U.S. Senate, and so she knew Marsha just through the the peoples, I guess.
Yeah. The
And
web of the web
the
of
network, right? The
politics.
network.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Marsha or my mom actually like texted or called Marsha and was like, "Hey, Avery's gonna do this thing. I heard you did it. Like, what is it?" And Marsha was like, "Oh my gosh, like I did it for 6 years. Like she's gonna love it. It'll be the best experience of her life." And I'm sure my mom got all her questions answered too from Austin. But having someone she trusted and who did it, she was like, "Oh." And then the next day she calls me and she's like, "You know what, Avery? I think every college kid should do this. Like, I think that this it really is. It's hard work. It teaches you that life isn't easy, and you are gonna crush it out there." Like they were awesome. They were unicorn parents from that moment. Like they were amazing.
How the turns
So
table. That's the power of
yeah,
the agency
yeah,
you're
yeah.
going to learn. You learn that lesson way early.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very thankful for that. It was just funny, and I don't think I was mad at her for feeling that way at first either, because I was just like, "You just don't get it, you just don't know, and you'll know if you wanna know," you know?
Mm.
Um, so anyway, yeah, that's how the interview process went, but then come to sales school, I'm at sales school, and I am, like, the head in the sand rookie, like, um, in that practice, where you approach people at sales school, um, and I don't know, I was someone who, like, wanted to volunteer for that really hard, exercise where you're just trying to get all trying not to
The
say too
the
much.
reality
Do you
check?
know what I yes, yeah, yes, reality check. I volunteered for it because I just, like, I wanted to challenge myself so much. Like, I just wanted to do all of the hard stuff right away for not even knowing why. Like, I was just like, "Challenge is good and life is hard." Like, I really think it was kind of a silly way of thinking, but whatever. Good job, Avery. So at sales school, I'm like so stressed. Like I know my sales talk. Luckily, I knew the whole thing. I practiced it so many times, so I didn't have to learn that. But um, at the end of one of the lectures, Dan Moore was like, "And by the way, would Avery Housley please come to the stage?" And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Did I lose my lunchbox? Where is why is Dan Moore calling me to the stage after he just gave a part? You know?" So I'm sitting there like, this man is a
Which
god.
which
Like,
for people listening who don't know, that doesn't have like, no, Dan Moore, the
yeah,
president, wasn't gonna call a random first year, maybe, a manager, sure, but like a first year, not a n I don't know that I've ever heard of that,
yeah.
so
Like, to be recognized in front of other students, by Dan, like, if Dan's like, "Hey, Avery, how you doing?" in front of other people, I'm like, "I feel so cool right now because Dan Moore is that
yeah,
cool." Like, Dan Moore is that.
yeah.
It's Dan
Yeah.
Moore. We should have Dan Moore counter, gosh, at this point. Um, so he called me to the stage, and so I went up to the stage, and he's like and AJ came up there with me. AJ was my DSL, was my DSL. Wow. Um, and he said, "Marsha sent me a text." I know. He said, "Marsha sent me a text, telling me that you were gonna be out here this summer, and I just wanted to wish you the best of luck." And just said something, like, so nice to me, and still to this day remembers that moment as Dan Moore does. Um, I feel like I remember nothing about his life, and he remembers everything about mine. Like, I
Yeah.
just oh, man.
He
But
does that
that
for
is my
everyone,
story
though.
about Dan Moore. I know. I don't get it. I don't
It's
get how. Dan Moore counter. Yes. Yes. I
it's
don't
so
like,
crazy.
is he just so present that he just like his brain just
I don't
everything
know.
is just always flowing?
He went to Harvard, so he's gotta have some big brain,
Had
but Harvard, he packed his cat in Harvard, yeah, but he, like that's called "I sold books in Massachusetts." Um, your face. But anyway, yeah, he, like, we every time, he'll,
Mhm.
"Hey, how's Rodrigo doing?" He knows, like, your as my dad's name. He'll be like, "He wears a size 11 shoe, right?" Like, he knows everything about everybody. I don't know, man.
I don't
It's
know.
crazy. But anyway,
I
so
don't
that's your
know.
first summer. How do you recall overall the energy of sales school though? Was that an experience? Was it what you were expecting, or was that new? What did you feel that was like?
Man, I remember driving to sales school feeling like super excited and super nervous. But I was studying psychology at the time, and I had just taken a class that talked about like the physiological and like the thoughts, like physiologically, fear and anxiety and excitement all feel the same. So like you get like when you're really like I was really excited to come on this podcast, but I was also nervous, right? Like I just had that like jittery feeling.
Mhm.
But you can kind of choose whether you see that as I'm really, really scared or this is really, really exciting, right? Like it's like adrenaline. Both of them are just anyway. Um, so I remember on
Yeah.
my drive, like thinking that, like, okay, I feel scared, but I'm also really excited because scary things are good. Like I was just so like caught up in thoughts and how thoughts work. But then getting to sales school, I think I did expect for it to be really, really hard, but I did not expect for it to emotionally feel as hard. Like I know I cried twice, like bawled my eyes out twice. Well, no, for sure once, but then cried. When I volunteered for my like reality check of doing this job, right after got yelled at and was like, "You can do better, Avery." Like, I was like I was pushing myself so hard. Like, sometimes I like wanna like hug like Avery when she was done because I'm like, "You were doing so good." Like, I don't know what you were doing. Like, that was really intense. Like, I can't I feel like I can't think like that the same just because I know how hard it is now. Oh, but man. It was good. It was a great energy. I felt like I was getting prepared because I knew that the summer was gonna be tough. Like, I knew that it was 3 months of 80 hours a week, but you don't even know what that looks like really until
Yeah,
your
we've never
first day.
experienced that. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
And they
no
try to
idea.
paint the picture when you're like, if you're involved in high school, you go to high school, you do your homework, then you go to varsity, soccer, and then you go to blah, and then you go do the thing, and then you come home, do
Mhm.
your homework, and you go to bed by 11. And you're like, yeah, I mean, I know what that looks like, but it's not
Yeah.
the same thing.
No,
Like
no.
when it's just one thing you're doing for 80 hours a week,
Yeah,
minimum.
yeah,
Some weeks you're really doing like 90. Like if you're really
yeah.
busted, it's crazy. And if you're
I
full
don't
time,
think I
then
ever
you're
hit
it's
90.
100.
I will say that. I never worked 90 hours on the book field.
It's
Maybe
crazy.
91, actually, that's a lie, but ugh,
It's just
I
bananas
don't get
because
how people
it's
did that.
all you do. It's just all you do for 3 months.
3
It's pretty
months.
crazy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
do you remember your first story or and all that? I love asking first store stories because 'cause they're always so funny the way they're
yeah.
described. Walk us through, set the
I
scene. Where were we?
Okay.
Where are we?
So we are near Louisville, Kentucky. We are in
Yeehaw.
Oldham County. Shout out Oldham County. I fell in love with Kentucky that summer. I was like, I'm raising a family here. These hills. Well, I grew up in Minnesota, right? And Minnesota's super flat, and Kentucky just has hills. And so I was just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, there's like, you can see miles. It was just the coolest thing ever to me. We're in Kentucky. It's hot. It's like 86 to 95 and humid, like just sticky. Um, and we're looking for HQs, and that was an okay process because we found one. But and my sister, I called my sister in that process, and she's like, "They don't have a place for you to stay." It's like, no. Oh yes, yes. HQ hunting is place where you live. Yes, thank you, Amy. Um, yeah, she was really upset about that, and I was like, "Well, that's the whole point of running your own business, isn't it? It's like you get to do this." And I still, to this day, I'm like, I still think that's so cool that you can go anywhere and find a place to live within a weekend. Like
Yeah.
that, it's just really cool. I mean, it's crazy to some people, and I don't know, maybe the best ones are crazy. Um, but it's also very kind of concerning in a lot of areas. But we did it. We found
Yeah.
a house for ourselves. And my first day, first door. So we go to Waffle House all summer.
It's your breakfast spot?
I think I've eaten at Waffle House once since that summer. Um, it was tough to find a breakfast spot that was cheap. Like we were gonna go to Crackle Barrel, but like 2 eggs and a piece of toast was $10, and we're not gonna do that. Like why? No.
Yeah, that's no.
So we went to Waffle House. And I lived in my turf, so I think I knocked on my first door at like 7:19 in the morning. Like I was just there. Um, and the first door I knock on. Oh, and also, so this is the first year of Sales Rabbit. So this is the first. Sales Rabbit is an app for all you
Yes.
Salesforce or learners out there. It's like Google Maps, but you can drop pins on houses. So I can mark like where I've been, where I want to go, who is not interested, who I should not visit. Right? You can just have all these pins.
Notes about the people that live there if you talk to them already, like, "Oh, yeah, mom's
Hmm.
Stacy, and she has 3 kids. I'll come back at 4 o'clock," or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. I mean,
Um,
honestly, from a person that sold not during that time, that's bananas. Like,
yeah.
to hear that that
Yeah.
even exists, it feels like the future. Like, it's
It's
still, I mean,
I was
it's
talking to
crazy.
someone earlier today that sold with paper maps, and I was like, "Man, I don't know." So that this is where I'm leading. I had paper maps. I had to make paper maps for my first 2 weeks because my Sales Rabbit account just wasn't working. So I had to draw out like
Oof.
which I am not in the age of maps. Like I was not raised. I do like looking at maps. I think they're cool, but it's not something that I'm like super familiar with in 2017. Like I'm sorry, I don't
Like
know.
writing a
Uh,
check for someone your
I
age.
did
It's
know
like,
how to do that. My school did teach me that.
but
But
that's
yeah, even
above and
checks, like
beyond.
kids yeah, kids now, it's just funny, like, sometimes that is funny, like, I don't how does where are these numbers on a check? What does this mean?
Or addressing an envelope. People don't know how to do that. Kids don't. If I asked my brother to do that, my youngest brother, he'd be like, "I don't know how to do that."
I don't. You just print it. What do you mean? Like, you just like,
Just send
you
it.
go there and
Just
you
send them
do
a
it. Yeah.
text. Just send them a just
Send 'em a
submit the
text.
PDF. Upload the PDF, dude.
Oh gosh. But yeah, so I had to draw paper maps. So I first of all, we got most of our training in sales school on Sales Rabbit because it was a student approved thing. So there's a lot of training on it. So I'm like, sweet, Sales Rabbit, can't wait to use it. Still stuck with paper maps. So I have no freaking idea what I'm doing. Like I'm just drawing these, like I'm trying to use highlighters for like different colored houses, like draw a straight line. Then I got really artsy where I would go on Google Maps and try to like recreate the image that I was seeing on Google Maps. But that took like a half an hour at a time. So I knock on my first door and no one answers. Second door, I knock on this girl, this older lady. I wouldn't say older. She was probably like, she probably wasn't, she was just a lady. She had a robe on and she was nice and cozied up because it was 7:25 in the morning. And I do my approach word for word. I'm like shaking. Like this is the first person I've ever talked to, right? And I do all of the physical things like on key, like so good. I'm like, hi, my name's Avery. I'm with Southwest. I'm probably like this. Hi, my name's Avery. Like so scared, so nervous. With Southwestern Advantage, you must be the mom of the house. Just so nervous. Yeah,
And
just
most kids
like,
don't even get the approach right. They'll
oh my
just go,
gosh.
I got books or whatever.
Oh, I did a word for word. Like I was like out
You
there
were
to
ready.
win the summer. Like I wanted to be number one. I didn't think I'd actually be number one, but I was like, I might as well try, right? Get your 30 demos, whatever. So I do the first approach word for word. And so at the end of that first approach, you're supposed to go for your bag, right? You grab your bag and you wipe your feet and you keep your eyes down. Like you let them speak first. So I do that for what seems like forever. Seems like it's a whole minute, but it was probably really like 5 seconds, right? And then I look up and she's just standing there with like she has the door open and she's like, yeah, we can go on the back porch. And so she tells me to come in. And
No.
so I go to the back porch with her. I do my sales talk word for word. So good. Except I'm like, it's my first day. I don't have any pictures like that. This is thank you for your time. But the second reason everyone gets these, like so like I don't know. Just trying to make it up as I
Oh
go.
man.
And she bought $540 worth of books from me. She wouldn't let me take a picture with her, which whatever. So I took
In
a
a
picture
robe.
with in a row.
Understandable.
Yeah, it's fine. That whole process did take about an hour, and I felt really bad about that because 20 minutes, like it
Come
took an
on.
hour though.
Hurry up,
Um,
Avery.
I know, I know. And I took a picture with her dog and posted that on Facebook and was on my jolly way. Her name was Lavon Bentley. Shout out to Lavon.
What up,
Um,
sister?
yeah, she's great.
Levon
And
Bentley. That's a cool
yeah,
last name too.
yeah. But yeah,
Hopefully
the rest
she's
of that
cool
day
with us
sucked.
sharing her name. This
It
day.
sucked, yeah. I was I didn't sell anything the rest of that day. I also had to do permit stuff that day, so that was tough. I had to like drive an hour to get a background check, and I'm just trying to get my 30 demos, and I'm really stressed out about the whole thing. So whatever. I finished that day with 28 demos, and I was pissed.
Wow, that's still a lot for everything you had to
Oh my
do and the
gosh,
hour delay.
yeah. Well, at the end of the night, I was just like, I don't even care. I'm just going to show all these books to people. I don't want anyone to see. Like, I got upset. I remember feeling upset when someone sat down with me. I only had 4 sit downs that whole day. So that sucks. Sometimes, whenever I'm like talking to kids about this, about how hard it is just to like drill it through their brain, I'm like, imagine walking down a street for 13 hours. I mean, I wasn't walking, I'm in a car, but I'm in a suburb. So I'm pretty much walking the whole time. Walking on a street for 13 hours, you get what? An hour and 20 minutes of sitting down. Otherwise, you're knocking on doors and getting told no, knocking on doors and getting told no,
Yeah.
knocking on doors all day. 13 hours of that. Like, just do you want to just listen to that for 13 hours, then understand how it really feels? Like that. It was so tough. It was so tough. Second day was even tougher. I was in an old neighborhood, literally all old people. And when I like sometimes you hear that, but like I went to all the doors and they were literally all old people. Like I must have missed the senior community living sign or something. And I called my parents at 3 o'clock, just bawling, like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, I'm just so frustrated. Everybody's old and nobody wants to buy from me. And like, I'm I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I just so
You're
distraught.
good
And
at
my
that.
parents,
That's like
because
you're
I
legit
think
crying
about it, I'm
again.
like, how do I really communicate how sad I was? Like I was so sad. I was so sad. But thank goodness my parents are angels. I called them and they're like, you can get your 30 demos, like they were all encouraging. And then the rest of the summer was awesome. Like from that point, I followed, I got customers, and then I took off. It was great. It's a
That's
great summer.
isn't it so funny to think back, like you just think back and you're like, who the heck would I have been otherwise?
I was just talking to somebody, shout out Hannah Ginter, about this. That I saw a quote the other day that was like, your 15-year-old self, no, your 10-year-old self would have loved to hang out with your 20-year-old self, even though like we look back at our 20-year-old self and you're like, man, you were crazy. But your 12-year-old self like would have really thought you were cool. And your 15-year-old self would love to hang out with the you are now. And I was like, oh, tear, that hurts my heart. That's not hurts my heart, makes it proud.
Yeah,
Like what
that's pretty
really,
cool.
I don't know who I would be without that crazy experience, being able to do that crazy.
Yeah,
I will not do
because
it
you
again,
just
but I'm so thankful for it. And that's okay.
it
That's
is.
the
It's
nature
like
of it,
that.
you know? That's just how
It's
it is.
it's it's so wild how that works. So you're in Kentucky doing this, and
Mhm.
I mean, does it get instantly better, or were you one of those that like grew all the way through the end of the summer? Like, how
Oh,
did it?
yeah, no. It was kind of one of those, bell curves, but upside down, so it went, like, down, up, right?
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
in attitude more so. I dipped in the middle of the summer, um, after my third. Okay, so this is what happened. That Sunday after my first week, I had a PC with Austin Rourke, and he's like, "I get it, like, this is, just listen." He was so I was a f oh, yes, PC, personal conference, yes. I was, a crier, so I cried every Sunday. And Austin did such a good job at just
Yes.
like listening and like nodding. And I can only imagine because now I know Austin so much better. Like I can only imagine how he must have felt dealing with someone like me. Like just because I cry like so much, and I'm the weirdest crier because like I'll cry and be like, and like this happened, and I know that that's okay, and like I can just work on this next time, but I just don't like the way I feel. Like I'm coaching myself as I'm crying. Like, it's like this whole
He's like,
roundabout
yeah,
thing. Yeah, and
yeah.
it's probably just so funny to watch. Like Alex says I'm a really entertaining person when I'm emotional because I'm just so up and down and I know what's happening, but I let it out. It's just a really funny. It's a part of me that I love. I'm glad that I do that. But so that Sunday, he's like, remember, the first 3 weeks are just about like building habits. And so from that moment, I just like, I think the training was really good from Austin too, but I held on to like, okay, first 3 weeks don't mean shit. Like, go to work, get your 30 demos, don't worry about production, just like build these habits. And that helped me. I hit like the fast start contest where it's like if you get so many customers in the first 3 weeks. So that was awesome. And then I got recognized after that third week for having um, like the top or for having the most amount of production that week, and most amount of customers. Um, and
Oh.
can I use the bathroom really quick? I'm gonna use the bathroom really quick.
Sure. We'll talk about some of our friends here on the show. Oh man. I think the bathroom equates to the dog being put outside, which is okay. All good. Um, guys, I just wanted to just let you know, thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show so far. If you guys like what you're hearing, make sure you guys give us some love. Go follow us on Instagram, subscribe on our YouTube if this is what you're watching, and if you're on Apple Podcasts, scroll down all the way down when you go to our our page, and you can leave us a review there as well. We're on Facebook as well if that's where you'd rather go. Follow us. I mean, we're all over the place. LinkedIn, you find us. The biggest thing I would say that if you want to keep up with us and what's going on and how to, get involved with the show or say hello to us, connect with us, is sign up for our newsletter where you send it periodically. Sometimes we're trying to do it once a month, but honestly, things kind of move fast and sometimes they move a little slower here on the show. So it's just whenever we feel like we want to let you guys know some new stuff. It's called The Cult. You can go to our website, theponytailspodcast.com, and just put in your email, subscribe. that way, and you can find out what's happening on the show, things that are coming up, cool things that alumni are doing in the community. Some of our sponsors are there. You can hear more about them. So on that note, back with Avery here, and is the doggo okay?
Yeah. So I asked her, I was like, "Do you think we could put him outside?" And there's actually coyotes outside right now, so that's fine.
Oh, that's why
Yeah.
he's barking.
Yeah, he's barking a lot,
Is
which is
that is it
crazy.
your dog?
Yeah, it's my dog. Yeah.
Well,
I
then
actually
let him fend against the coyote. See how he does. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
he
I'm
will
kidding.
die. He will. He's a little dog. He's like 15 pounds. Got
All
him on
right,
the
so throw
field,
him out there. See what, I'm
actually.
just kidding. I'm
Yeah.
totally kidding. I don't want
Oh
you to
my
kill your dog.
gosh, I wonder what he would do. He'd probably, like, bark and then just sprint and then,
And
anyway.
then whine. We don't want the whining.
Yeah, we don't want the
Anyway,
whining.
you're all good. You're all good. Third summer, you got recognized for the most units, most customers,
Oh, yes,
and
3rd
you're
week,
at the
yep.
center of the circle.
So they asked me to speak that week or that Sunday, and, like, recognition is really big for me. I really like recognition, but, looking back on that experience, I do get complacent about recognition. Like, once I get it, yeah, yeah, it's like, "You are," which was fun. I did like that because that does, like, um, motivate me. I don't know, I like attention. So
Good.
that was
That's
cool, but then
okay.
I didn't I almost wish I knew that because I could have been like, "Hey, Austin, if you tell me if I go hit XYZ, I get to speak at the next Sunday's meeting, like, I'll do it." I wish I would have known that back then. That would have been a really great way to motivate me. Um,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he
but
figured that out though. He probably figured that out as it was going because like, wow, she really thrives in this. This is good.
yeah,
You're good at being in front of people. I can tell.
it was so fun. I loved it. I mean, I was definitely nervous. I'm glad I also got to speak a lot and like in Southwestern events because I mean, I was shaky still, which still happens, but a lot more shaky then. Yeah, then I kinda got complacent, and so my production kinda leveled off, and I was still getting the same controllable stats, still showing the books to 30 people a day and whatever, and so after week 6, I was like that was the other time that I kinda broke down. I was PCing, I'm having a conversation with Hannah Ginter on a Sunday, shout out Hannah Ginter, love her, uh, and I was just crying to her and I was like, "I'm not gonna quit." Like, I feel like quitting. I'm not gonna quit, but I just don't wanna do this anymore. Like, I know I'm gonna stay. Like, there's no I'm like, "You don't need to worry about me leaving," but I just hate this, and, like, I don't wanna hate it anymore, and I can't figure out how to not feel the way I'm feeling because the way I'm feeling right now sucks, and this isn't who Avery is. Like, that's what I was thinking. This isn't who Avery is. This isn't who Avery is supposed to be, and I hate it. Like, I hated who I was being. Um, and Hannah, she's so funny. She's like, "Well, Avery, have you ever just accepted that you don't wanna go to work?"
Oh.
And I was like,
Oh,
"What?" Yeah, yeah, and then she just shut up and listened, and I was like, "What? Like, you can do that? Like, it's okay to not wanna go to work?" And she's like, "Do you think I wanna go to work every day?" I think this was our 4th or 5th summer. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, you're Hannah Ginter, like, you're a rock star, like, of course you love this job, don't you?" She's like, "No, like, I don't wanna do this every day, like, nobody wants to do this every day, maybe some people do, but I don't wanna do this every day, like, it's okay that you don't like doing this job sometimes. Like, the way you're feeling's okay." And, like, that concept was just, like, so bizarre to me, and I couldn't even process it, like, I remember feeling better, but I was still like, "I just don't get that," like, you can be okay with feeling like, it didn't make any sense, but that conversation did help me be like, "Okay, I'm here. I'm choosing to be here, and I need to start working on my attitude because my emotions were just so terrible." Um, and so I tried to work on my attitude. I actually had a friend pass away that summer. Not like a
Oh.
super, super close friend, but someone that I like grew up with in elementary school and like someone that whenever you talk to, it just was always the same. It wasn't like we were really in tune with each other's lives, but um, yeah, someone texted me and I just remember being like, that sucks, like I just bawled till like 12 a.m. But I started working for him. Like I was like, you know what? I want to do things that you're going to be proud of, like watching me up there. So I'm gonna try to do the things, and like that was really helpful actually, working for other people.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. So yeah. And so money wise, and it just seemed like it was going to be the leads, which I wanted to go back to that because you mentioned this, and that's another thing that maybe Southwestern people don't understand is leads. And that's kind of like you're saying, basically, imagine you show up to a town to sell books, you send a postcard out to every single family that has kids in school or young children, asking them if they struggle with any of the following subjects, yes or no. Would you be interested in hearing about a product that might help you with all those subjects, yes or no, name and address, and then you just waited at your HQ for like a couple weeks, and then you got in the mail like 700 people returning that postcard saying, come to my house, here's where I live. Hi, are you the mom of the house? Yes, and you've heard of you. Great.
Yeah. Is this your handwriting,
let's
Miss Betty? Yeah, that's my handwriting.
yeah.
You got a few minutes? It's again, you're not selling every single lead that you sit down with, but the leads is kind of what interested me because that kind of anxiety feeling that I talked about at Southwestern and the anxiety I had with Family Heritage, I honestly didn't think that was going to go away, but it has. It's gone away when I sold. You know, I still had a little bit of anxiety, but after that first knock, it goes away. But much less anxiety every week because I know I have fresh leads coming in. And so even if this day doesn't work out, I know I got typically our agents will get anywhere from 25 to 50 leads a week of people that they can go and call on.
That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. We don't talk about that enough on this show. But there is something to that because my best weeks ever selling, even in the summers that I was way off schedule, the ones that I didn't actually get off schedule where I worked the whole week, were mom week and dad's week.
Mm.
So that's
I
interesting.
do believe there's
that
probably some
concept.
psychology behind it and maybe some like I don't know. I love analyzing the way we think and why we do the things we do. Like that's my minor, psychology. I study sales and psychology. So I think it's an interesting thing though, because I feel like when I do it, like when I work for my mom or dad, I am like, I feel like there's almost a part of me that's like wanting their approval or wanting their like
Mm.
their I just want them to be it's almost like you guys raised me, I'm a part of you, I also want you to be proud of what you've created, but still that's looking for some like, why couldn't you just do it for yourself? Why do we do it with other people? And I think it's a tribal thing. I think that's my
Yeah.
consensus is that you want people and plus like in tribes, right? They want to well, we're going way off topic here, but that's great.
That's okay. That's what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
It's just analyzing all aspects of this thing. Let's do it.
But in tribes, you wanted to be with people that you trusted and you knew that could do things for you. And so you also wanted to be that for somebody else, right? That's who
And that's
someone would
the
go do
human.
this, someone would go.
That's a human in us, right? Because the
Yeah.
animal in us is the opposite of that. The animal in us is like, I need to take care of myself first.
The deep
Fuck off
down,
until I
like,
do, right?
yeah,
Right. Like
yeah.
but if everything was provided that you had food and safety in the form of shelter and or emotional safety, I guess too, and even in the caveman days and cavewoman days, I feel like you're right. Once you kind of had that, then it turned into this like, how can we be a bigger as a whole? And I think
Mhm.
there is something to that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I That's okay. I mean, it is a human thing because animals, I don't know who I was just talking to about this. I think it was actually Hannah. Um, Animals don't have the capability to be like, what are you thinking? Like they don't like a dog doesn't look at another dog and be like, what are you thinking? It just like thinks about that dog, right? Dog scary, whatever dogs think. Dog scary, dog play,
Squirrels.
they're like, what? Yeah, squirrel. Like they're just
Scratch,
everywhere.
scratch, scratch, scratch,
Whereas
scratch, scratch, scratch.
humans,
Squirrel.
yeah, yeah. Woof, I had to put, like they're just like
There's coyotes outside.
There's
Let
got
me at 'em.
roar.
Let me
Yeah,
at 'em.
yeah. And humans are able to they know that somebody else can be thinking. Like that's an interesting thing that humans have, and I think that's where the try
Okay.
and even but animals even did that too. Like wolves travel in like a lot of like
In
fish travel in
packs.
schools. Yeah, why do
It's
we do
interesting.
that?
Actually, on the side note, do you want to hear? This is way off topic, but this actually could give us some insight into what we're trying to contemplate here. And by the way, if anybody has any thoughts on this, feel free to comment or
Yeah,
send us a DM on your
some
thoughts. We'd love to hear.
studies, like
Yeah, something
yeah.
cool like this. I did hear about this on the gram. Some scientist guy on a podcast was talking about. He's like a anthropologist, and he was talking about how dogs actually became domesticated was because of kind of the same idea where it was like it used to be that there were wolves or wild dogs, right? And wolves, and they were trying to avoid us as the apex predator. But then they started realizing that we were killing bigger things. We weren't really trying to kill dogs unless we had to eat and we had nothing
Mm,
else. But we would kill like mammoths and shit because that had way more meat and or elk, right?
right.
And so the wolves started figuring out that if they just followed us around, that we would leave
Oh,
behind carcasses and or leftovers that they could eat, like bones and shit. And so
ooh,
then they started following us around and understanding that if wherever humans were, there was also going to be leftovers. But then they started figuring out that if they led us to food, we would be more efficient at getting food, which meant more leftovers. And so wolves started kind of having like the symbiotic relationship with humans where it's like, well, I'll show you where the mammoths, it's this way, dude. Like, and so then
'cause they
that's how dogs
smell
started
it,
to
they
become,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
So then dogs started becoming our hunting friends, which is kind of how the whole relationship got started. Eventually they found out that we found out that they were doing that. And so we're like, well, if we give them shelter and food, they're going to continue to provide us with more places to go eat and sleep. And so then it just kind of became this like, you scratch my back and they became a tribe. So in some ways, that
Interesting.
they were working for someone else, but because we also had something to gain. So I wonder if even though you're working for someone else, you're doing it knowing that it's good for you too. I wonder if there's something in it, you know.
Oh, it's a what's that called? Tit for tat.
Yeah,
Oh,
quid
scratch.
pro quo, if you
Yeah, yeah.
will.
I wonder. Yeah, and that's because it is interesting. It's like you don't well, you do also, I feel like well, I guess with wolves, the result is food. Like, I feel like in sales, you don't worry about the result because you put so much pressure on yourself and you're like, "I just wanna do this for you, and it's the things I can control." But if you also sell, I mean, I don't know. But isn't that funny
Like,
that when you focus on that, you're not thinking about that, so you do better at that, at
yeah,
sales?
like for me, it was because so my dad, it was always Dad's week first, and then you had to beat Dad's week with Mom's week, right? Because
Mhm,
Dad's week was Father's Day, like the
mhm,
so And so my dad, and I've told this story a lot, but my dad came to the United States before we did, and he worked his ass off for us.
mhm,
And as I don't have a kid, so maybe I don't understand that you can actually do something completely selflessly for another human. Maybe that
mm,
all parents are like, you don't understand, but
yeah.
you're right, I don't.
Yeah,
But
I
he
don't
did
have a
that.
kid, you're
And
right.
so in my head, I'm like, man, I can work hard for my dad. He like busted his ass and slept with like,
Mm,
in like the craziest conditions, and he had 30 roommates in one bathroom, and the conditions were shitty, and he was broke and it was cold. If he could do that for like 4 months, I could do this for a week.
yeah,
And it was more like as a in a way of payback, but to make him proud, uh and for that seeking that
almost like a
approval
thank
of
you.
like, does he see me like
Yeah.
a man, but also thank you. It's like there was like a mix of a variety of emotions attached to it. It's not just one, I don't feel,
Well, and I've
you know.
also done it where I've, like, specifically Moms and Dads Week, I've done it where I've, like, made decisions like my mom would. Like,
Oh,
if I don't like, my mom is so I could, like, brag about my mom and my dad because they are just such hard workers. Um,
my
but
dad could
during
kick your
Moms Week,
dad's ass, and I was kidding.
I
You
I
know those
don't
arguments
I
that
I
you
don't
know
know if
those
you've ever
arguments
seen
that
your
kids.
dad, but there's a part of me that's like, "Yeah, he probably could." You know? Like,
No,
"Dad, you are fit and you are fabulous. You're gonna listen to this one. I love you." But I don't know. Something
you
about the
know those
Gambos
argument
that I'm
that
like,
kids.
"Ah." You could beat it. I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen your dad's. I guess I can't say.
My dad's stronger than your dad.
My dad's gonna beat up
Goes
your dad. Yeah, so like
it goes like that.
I'm gonna tell your dad. Well, your dad is. I'm gonna. My dad's gonna beat up your dad, so it doesn't even matter. Just like
Yeah, you
so.
know, my dad, which is why my
Oh,
dad's week is more important than your dad's week. Anyway, so sorry. Your mom, you're
Okay.
doing it. How did your mom
So
think?
I was, working for my mom and made decisions like her. Going back, I was working for John. John was John Gomez. Shout out John Gomez. You are an amazing human being. Um, and yeah, I worked for him, and that helped my attitude. Um, it boosted. I wish I had my journals from the summer. I did have I it may be my point. It's not my ponytail, so I want to share it.
Let's
I
do
did
it.
have a dad that was, it was kind of weird. It was one of those, I had a lot of really cool stories happen my first summer that I vividly remember. There's three. I'll just mention the comments. Ask me about them another time if you want to, or we can go through all of them.
Let's just
I
do it.
think her
Let's just
name
go
was,
through them.
okay, so her name was Christina. And I don't know her last name. I know she purchased, but I don't remember. I think she got some websites. Um, Christina had this house, and I pulled up to it, and all of her windows are open, and like she has a horse farm in her backyard, and like her barn is open. She has like four dogs just like running around, and it just was like this like breath of fresh air almost, just like wow, like this house is just so open and breathable is the word I want to use. Like there's no, it's just all free spirits, you know. Um,
Yeah, I feel. I
and
feel.
I was like yelling in the house. I was like, hello, you know, like just trying to get attention and no one was answering. So I walked into this horse barn because the doors were open. So I'm like, there's got to be someone home. Like, it's not like someone just, I mean, some people in this world definitely just leave their doors open, but um, when they're not home, I mean,
Yeah.
but someone was home. I just felt like someone was home. And she sat down with me and she made me a French press coffee, which was the first French press I'd ever had. I was like, French press? Like she said that. And I was like, yeah, coffee, sure. Um, and she told me about I want to paraphrase this right. You download the experiences at the frequency you're vibrating at. And what she meant was like your energy, like when you're really open and clear, and like she was very hippie, like, and that resonated a lot with me.
Very
Uh,
granola.
yeah,
Super
very
granola.
granola, like has horse, you know, just was like taking care of her horses because she loved them. Like I don't know. Um, Very granola. And she was like, when you're open and cleansed and have an open mind and grateful, really good things just tend to happen to you. And when you're not thinking like that, it seems like really bad things happen to you. It was a much longer conversation, but that just like stuck with me. And she introduced me to the book The Alchemist too, which was just like a journey of ups and downs in life and how things are just never as good as they seem or as bad as they seem. And you can learn from everything in life. So I was just like, she was really awesome. She really did change my summer, Christina. And then another guy, I can't remember his name. Um, and people who have sold on the book fields can attest to this. There's just people you feel like you run into when they needed you most. um, like there's just people that have been looking for someone to vent to or talk to or reach out to, and like you just happen to knock on their freaking door, like you're just there.
Yeah.
And this guy just told me this whole story about accepting Jesus into his life and how his wife went through TSS. Talks like the whole story was like he
Wow.
woke up feeling like something was wrong, woke his wife up and said, we have to go to the hospital, and just brought her there. And like, they discovered that like could have died within hours. And like, it was just a really crazy story in this like little suburban neighborhood. And he was like, I just want to let you know, like all your experiences that you're doing, like growing in your faith. Cause I've been on a really weird, interesting journey with God. And so he was like, I'm just really happy that you're doing something so challenging that helps you bring you closer to that. So that's a second story for my first summer. And the third story, we're going to call this guy Chris, because I don't want to name any names with this guy. So his name's Chris.
If it's an anonymous person that other people might know, we just go Mort. We just call that person Mort.
No, nobody knows him. Nobody knows him.
Oh, so this is Chris. This is not a
This
book
is Chris.
person.
I just out of respect, I'm like, I'm just going to say his name's Chris.
Okay. Chris.
So
I like
Chris,
Chris.
I went to his neighborhood early in the summer. On my Sales Rabbit app, it said that I never actually like talked to them or got in touch with them, right? And so 4th of July comes around, and on 4th of July, what you do is you go back to all of your prospects that you never got in touch with, because you'll travel from neighborhood to neighborhood, and you'll catch up with people, but you'll miss like, you know, Susie Q in the corner because she's just never home, or whatever. So 4th of July, I'm going back to all of these neighborhoods that I've worked so far in the summer. And Chris and his wife are outside and they got a motorcycle outside. And I'm like, booyah, like you guys are home.
America.
Let's go. Yeah. I'm like decked out on 4th of July.
It's a Harley Davidson. Doesn't get more American than that.
It really is. I was like, this is sick. And 4th of July, for anyone who's interested, you're supposed to dress up. You gotta go all out. You get one day to really go all out. Do it this day, 4th of July.
You ball out on the 4th of July.
You ball out. And I go talk to Chris and his wife. Can't remember his wife's name. And they have like a 2-year-old. She's cute. And they buy like My Fun with Words and the My Books, right? Colors, Words, whatever. Early learner set. So I come back to deliver. Yeah, Moofus and My Books. Good old Moofus and My Books. And so I go back to deliver for them or delivered their books. This is what now, 6 weeks later. And I text them because I told them that I was going to be there between like 4 and 6 to deliver their books. And I was running late. So I just texted them and was like, hey, I'm not going to be there in time, but I'll be there probably around like 8. So I catch Chris at home with his daughter, but it's just Chris and his daughter. So I don't know if this is the best story to share because I was trying to read the situation as best as I could.
Go for it. There's nothing we haven't heard.
Yeah, exactly. So Chris I'm sitting down on the couch with him. Like we're like, okay, we're like next to each other, right? Like I'm here, he's here. There's a little more space, right? And so I'm just showing him the books, whatever. And Chris is like, do you know that I own like 4 businesses? And I was like, no way, I'm just doing my own entrepreneurial thing. I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, well, I have this lawn mowing business. And then I also sell this stuff I buy it as wholesale and I just sell it online. And then he's like showing me all these different things. He's showing me his inventory. He runs this company that I'm not going to name that has like hats and bags and sweatshirts. And it's kind of just like a lifestyle type brand where they promote this lifestyle and sell this merch. And so he gives me a couple free things. I still have one of the sweatshirts because it is a good brand. Still not going to share it with you though. It's just that the concept of it is funny to me. But we're sitting on the couch. We're back on the couch, right? And he's sitting a little bit further. And so instead of like just scooching closer to me, I'm trying to create this picture in people's brains. A couch, 3 cushion couch. Chris, myself. Chris leans over onto his elbow so that his head is really close to my hip. And I'm wearing a skirt. He's not like looking inappropriately, but he's just like real uncomfortably close, right? Like it wasn't, he was crossing any boundaries or anything, but I was like, I just don't like how comfortable you're being, right? I don't like this. It was just a weird energy. And so whatever, deliver the books and I left. This is the fun part. I delivered Chris's books on like Monday or Tuesday. And on like Thursday or Friday, I get a text from this random number that says, I see you with eyes, right? And I'm like, who's this random number? And I go back and it's Chris.
Oh,
he's
my
like,
God.
yeah, I see you. And I'm
this
like,
is the fun part?
Yeah, this is the okay, not the fun part, the weird part. So Chris says that to me. And so I'm like at this stop sign, it's a T, and I'm about to turn right or left, and I'm at this T and I'm looking around and I see him on his lawnmower. Remember, he told me about his lawnmower business. So Chris just felt so inclined to text me and say, I see you. And then he starts asking me questions, right? Like, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Minnesota. I'm about to go back there. And he's like, awesome. Well, do you want to hang out sometime? And I'm like, I don't think I have any time to, right? I'm working. I have hella books to deliver because top first year, let's go. So I really don't have any time, Chris. I actually might have stayed longer. No. And he's like, okay, well, can you make sure to just not tell my wife that I asked you any of this? I was like, okay, so, and that's like, it's not even that big.
Because
like,
that's what a healthy marriage
sounds
like.
Like, it's not even that intrusive, right? It's not like he even asked for anything I mean, it was inappropriate to start with, but too inappropriate, like some other experiences that I'm sure people and myself have all had on the field where it's just like, no. sorry, fuck you, I'm leaving. Like I'm gone, right? Oh, those are the
That's
stories that I like. They're almost war stories, but they're the only
creepy.
ones that I'm like, I just don't. Yeah, that was Chris, and that was the end of my summer. I remember finishing the end of that summer being like, I'm done delivering all my books. I do not want to knock till 9:30, but I did. And the moment it was over, I was like, this is freedom. This is it.
That
Um,
feeling, that feeling of your
man.
last day when you're driving home, you're like, "This is it can't hurt me anymore," or like you're
No,
like,
seriously. Like I actually for I was really involved in Southwestern after my first summer. Like I went to all the meetings, but I still had like a pretty I just that whole half of my first summer, the second half was just like not it. Like I just did not I was selected back and I know I was coming back, but I was just like, man, that sucks. That sucked. But there's moments I really enjoyed. So I held on to those and knew that that could happen again. And they did, and it also was still really tough.
did you think Marsha? Were you like, "Hey, thanks for getting my parents on board, Marsha"?
No, I've never actually gotten to be in contact with Marsha. I feel like I might have I don't think I have. I don't think I have. Oh, but she did speak to us one time. I don't know if I said hi or not. Bummer. Um, she's a cool lady though. Respectable
Yeah,
lady.
yeah. I
Yeah.
the politics of it all, some people would disagree with you, but from a standpoint of who she is as a human, I'm sure she's a nice lady.
Right. And that's what I mean. I we actually talked about this a little bit like my family is involved in politics and that's great
Yeah.
for if you don't like her awesome if you like her awesome I like her for who she is right I don't care about the politics stuff she's my mom any politicians I'm like there's a lot of stuff that I disagree with people and we might whatever and that's okay I
Yeah.
think it's good that we disagree on things in this life but Marsha's worked hard my mom's worked hard all these people have worked hard to get where they've been and maybe I don't know we could disagree on that too but I know Marsha and my
No.
mom have, so I'll speak for them.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, for real. I mean, it's funny because I live in Portland and
Mhm,
like here disagreeing is sometimes not okay. Which
right.
I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell me? Like, you're not right. I'm not saying I'm
I'm
right
not right either.
because
Yeah, yeah.
but you're for sure not right. Because
Yeah.
any sort of argument that says if you disagree with me, you're a bad person. Like, okay, there's some things we can agree, like the Holocaust, right? Bad. We can all
Bad,
kind of
right.
universally. Well, I don't know
But
if
you
we
know
can
what's
all.
funny?
Some people
There
don't
might be
agree with
some
that.
people that don't agree. And you know what? You can think that. I don't think that. And I
Whatever.
don't really wanna
I,
I don't know.
you know, some things, some judgments can be drawn from certain opinions, sure,
Right,
but you can't draw judgments from every opinion, right?
right.
Also, and when I look at a
Also,
politician, and
also.
this is not like a dig at your mom or any politician, both left, right, whatever. It's just like sometimes in politics, there's a reason why it's called politics because you got to do what you got to do,
You gotta
right?
do.
To
You
to
gotta
to
do.
do, like especially in the politics that we live in today. Not to get into politics, I'm just saying in general, life in general. Sometimes it could be in marriage, it could be in selling books, it could be in anything
Mm,
where like, hey, this is not what I would choose, but the rest of what you're saying, I agree with, and so let's just go with what you're saying because
right,
like you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
right.
Like you won't agree across the board on everything, whether it's politics or something. So fuck, we can even have this conversation. Let's have this conversation now. We were just
Okay.
talking about this, but this ties into how you were saying, and I'll let you. Some people who are still in Southwestern do not like
Oh!
that we
Yes, I'm
have
so
this
glad we're
show.
having this conversation. Okay,
Right.
cool.
And this is
Yeah.
actually ties into what we're talking about. It's to us to not make a political conversation, but to make it the same conversation about Southwestern, where it's like, look, you can have your opinions on this, and I can have my opinions on this, and we don't
Mhm.
have to agree. It's actually okay if we don't agree. What is not
Yeah.
okay is for you to tell me that I'm a bad person, or for me to say that you're a bad person because I don't agree with you, right? Again,
Mhm.
unless it's like the Holocaust or like slavery, where it's like this is pretty solid that this is not okay, right? Like
Yeah.
women's
Yeah.
rights, right? That kind of stuff.
Right.
Which I'm glad that you're a woman and that you have rights. Good job. Some
Thank
people
you.
don't have that,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Yeah.
Um, but we were talking about this, like, and we should we share the name? No, we shouldn't share the name. Just as there's people in Southwestern who you
Yeah,
were
no
telling
names.
me.
Mhm.
who you were saying, hey, some people don't like ponytails.
Mhm.
They think it's too neg. And first of
Mhm.
all, honestly, good. If there's people that don't like what we're doing, that means we're doing something right. Like there's something about what we're doing is working enough that some people have emotional response to it, whether it's positive or negative. I don't care. It has emotional response with people. Awesome. Right.
Right.
Uh, you were talking about how you brought this up,
Right.
and then so tell me your side of
Yes.
this.
So I agree. So the reason this conversation to inform all you listeners out there, by the way, thank you so much for listening, not only to Ponytails podcast, but to me. That means so much. um, so
57
the
minutes
reason that,
in. All right.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks guys. We're still here. We're just getting started. But we brought it up because I was like, man, something that I don't really like that people do is talk negatively about Southwestern because I loved my experience there. And I will say that at the top of the rooftops, yes, it was hard. Did it suck sometimes? Did I blame Southwestern for things sometimes? Yes, I did. But at the same time, I was the person that decided to do all of it. So for me to put stuff, and maybe that's extreme ownership, like maybe I should be mad at them or whatever. um I don't know, I just appreciate everything that they've given me, and I use the tools the way I wanted to use the tools. So it just really bothered me that people sometimes blame stuff on Southwestern, and this is an authentic outlet for people to get that out. And I don't just like that's one thing we were talking about, was how I love that people can just talk about their experience, right? This is your opportunity for you to be heard and understood. um and a lot of the things people say about Southwestern too, I'm like, I totally get that. Like, I could see how you could feel that way. I don't feel that way, and that's okay. Like, it's
Mhm.
okay that we are different perspectives.
Exactly.
Um, and yeah, and I think, and like we talked about, I think it's good for people to just hear from people, right? Like, we're all just humans that go through all this stuff, whether it's in Southwestern or outside of Southwestern. But we're humans and we disagree on things, and that's good.
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
the way that the conclusion that we came to, because the original topic was, and actually I would also be curious to see what listeners have to say about this, because some
Mm,
people, this could be two camps. The camp that
yeah,
you had told me some people were in is like, hey, this isn't good for um like first years to listen to.
right.
Right. And in my head, I'm like, you know what? This is great for first years to listen to. And
Yeah.
I'll throw a name out. My brother, I talked to my brother and I'm like, hey, have you showed any of your kids a show? And for the record, some of his managers for sure listen to us. I met them when I was in Nebraska, but he goes, there's some stuff that I can't show this to a first year. And I go, you totally should do it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
totally should do it. And here's why. People are going to disagree with me on this, but here's my opinion. If you have a first year listen to this, any of episodes, all the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Because there's episodes, we've had DC on the show who all he did was praise Southwestern. That's okay. We had people who weren't so positive towards Southwestern. That's totally okay too. But the point is, if you have a person listen to all of this and get the real, you know how the people have the list of like 77 things that could happen to you this summer, and you should be prepped for all these. Like this is this is 177 things plus that could happen to you during the
Mhm.
summer. If someone listens to all of that, to 10 of them even, and then afterwards they still want to go sell books, that person is going to stick around for multiple summers
Yeah,
for sure.
and
Because
probably get a lot out of it. Like, they're gonna use that
exactly.
thing to their benefit, you know?
Yeah, we've
Like,
had advanced sales on here. We've had Ron Alfred on here, Trey George talk about amazing techniques for recruiting, selling. We've had
yeah.
the gambit. Also, almost every single one. I can't even the ones that were really shitting on Southwestern, for lack of a better word. All of them still, when asked on or off the air, would you still go back and do it? They all go, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I learned everything I needed so that even though I hated it, even though I didn't disagree with this, even though I left because of these bad reasons, I still look back on my time and think that was really good for me
Right.
overall.
Mhm.
And so, generally speaking, even if that's the worst case scenario, that's great. I think
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
Then there's the camp that's like, but then there's people who will quit because it's like, listen, if people quit because they heard a podcast, they were gonna quit on you anyway.
Mm.
Shut up.
Huh?
Sorry, that was aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, my point.
Yeah. Great point. We should all disagree on everything. Just kidding.
Yeah, let's agree to disagree on everything. You disagree?
I agree to disagree. What just happened? What did we? So can we wait? Just kidding.
What did I just agree to?
What did I just? What? Oh gosh. Where did? Okay. I'm gonna
Anyway,
try.
the point
So
is, it's okay to disagree on things,
yes.
and life is okay. Now, looking back where you're at now, so now you left. Let's talk a little bit about, and we can get into some more summers and weave in all the other summers that you sold, of course. But as you
Mhm.
think back on your experience, and now you think, okay, this is it. Has it? It's always interesting where people are in the just left summer or just left category, because some people, it doesn't really hit them until sales school comes around, and they're like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to go, and I didn't go, and now you're sitting in
Yeah.
July at a pool on a Tuesday at noon. You're like, I'm off schedule. Like it starts itching. Um, how do you feel about it? How did you come to peace with it? Why did you decide it was time to go?
Um. I think okay. So I'm gonna start with just the blunt answer, and I was just like, I don't know what it was, and I don't want to say this is my reason, but it was kind of just like a gut, deep down. After gathering a lot of information and like thinking about it, it was a deep down, just like it is my time to go somewhere else. I knew I was never planning to stay in Southwestern forever. I knew that I had never committed to being a DSL. I had committed to being an ASL, and I didn't fulfill that. And I know that I did that, and I'm okay with that. But I
Good.
never committed to being a DSL and doing the whole thing. And so I just was like, what happened this last summer too is it was a tough summer. I decreased in sales. Our org was not like really I don't know how to say that. Our org was amazing. Like those kids, actually, I will say our org went through a lot of shit this summer and they still just persevered through all of it. Like I cried so many times at the awards banquet, just being like, I just can't believe like you did it, you know? But it was just a tough summer, especially, I mean, I wouldn't say especially for me, but just I felt like my attitude was just shit this summer. So it just sucked. It just all
Mm.
sucked. And I felt like I was trying everything to make it better, and it wasn't. And that affected a lot of people around me, unfortunately. And everyone else was just having a tough summer that summer too. You know, like I don't want to take all responsibility and make myself feel like a friggin' I don't want to say their summers are my fault, right? That's not.
Yeah, no.
And it was just tough. It was just everything was just tough about the summer. I feel like a lot of problems, and a lot of my base had kind of left. 6 years in, I had had a couple managers, and I love those human beings. They're my second family, and they had moved on, and I was excited for them. And it was just like, well, do I just want to do this because I said I would, or do I want to do this because I really want to do it, and I want to grow and use this year as a good year to just like advance myself, full time recruit, be an OL, do the whole thing, or maybe a student leader. Um, and I just didn't feel like I would give my best to Southwestern Advantage. And if I already felt like that, and I know that's a choice, like I know that I could, but
Mhm.
if my heart's not in it, I don't think it's the best thing for me to do. And I don't for example, if someone's listening to this and is like, "Oh, my heart's not in it," take your freaking time. Like I felt like that in the summer. I felt like that right after the summer. I felt like that at check-in. I felt like that at September. I felt like that in October. Like it was weeks before I was like, okay. Um, just because it's a tough thing. Like I didn't know if I wanted to do one more year. But if doing one more year just because I said I would is my only reason, I had multiple people tell me, don't do it if that's the only reason you're going to do it. People in
Yeah.
Southwestern Advantage, people that I trusted that like you would expect them to be like, stay, But if they were like, if you're only going to do it just because you said you would, don't do it. Like you have to, if you're going to do this because you want to.
Mhm.
And I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to. And I cried when that decision came to. I was really sad. Um, 'Cause I
Feels
love
like a
that
breakup.
place. It really does. It felt like it was like one of those it felt like a good breakup, like we both understand what's happening here, and it's just good for us to part ways. And you're just like, I hope we can. Without
Without
you,
you, my
my
friend.
friend.
No, no, just go there. That just made me
Seriously,
think of that.
that's what it felt like. I was driving and I was like, okay, and I just started crying. But it was really good. I've had some good conversations since then with my friends at Southwestern Advantage, and I support them all. I love them all, and I'm happy with my decision. And I feel like everyone's happy for me too. So that feels really good. Everyone's in support,
Hmm.
which unfortunately it means a lot to me. I do care what other people think when they're close to me.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. That's
So
okay. And actually, and this is good to, I had Nick kind of explain this a little bit too, but it's because I've been in the insurance industry before. For people who are listening, like, how do you make 115% commission?
like, the way I explain it to people is the insurance companies we represent. So we're a broker. All these companies we work with, they know they're not really going to be making any money off the sales that I make for the first several years. But they don't
Right.
care about that. They know these clients are going to be on the books for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So they know they're going to make money over the long haul. And so part of the reason agents are able to make so much is there's all these companies out here and they're all competing for the broker's business, because these companies don't actually have their own in-house sales force. They have independent contractors. And so if their compensation or their commission levels that they offer aren't competitive, I'm not going to place any business with them.
Hello. Off schedule moment. Wanted to tell you about Southwestern Real Estate. They're 99% drama free. Only 99, not 99.9. So it's a bit spicy. Kind of like this episode. Anyway, they will learn you to kick ass at real estate. So make sure you guys click the link below, get in touch with them. Okay, back to work. Bye. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show. Did you get any kickback where people are like, no, you're stupid?
Yeah, well, there was a first year who was like, "What? You're not coming back again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not, but I've also full-time twice, OL'd 5 times, hit all these things, whatever, did all the stuff. So no, I'm not coming back." Like it was just like, just
I'm on the
no, I
other
don't want,
side,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, you just finished your first summer. I finished my 6th. Like, just do this another one and see if you want to get here, like, and not to whatever. Yeah.
No, that's
There's
absolutely
still
fair.
some.
It's
I think
like,
it's the people that love and care for me, and I feel like they just want me around. Like, it's not even necessarily that. If they really
yeah.
talk to me, they'd probably understand I feel that, but it's just like, just come hang out with us, like, just come be around us, because I do love all those people. Like, they're great. They're a second
Yeah.
family.
No,
Yeah.
that's fair. And it does suck. There is an aspect of it. I don't know. There's gonna be a point where it's gonna hit you. You're like, oh shit, I'm really not doing this again. Like
Mhm.
I don't, or I mean, it'll come out in waves. It'll come in waves. But there was a moment where, yeah, I guess once they leave for sales school, you're just like, what?
Yeah, that'll be weird. I think it will be weird when the summer happens and it's not like I can just call them or text them. Like, that will be a little funky. Because a lot of the people that I hang out with in Colorado, which I just moved here, a lot of them are still selling. Um, which is awesome. Like, I want to send them care packages. Like, I want to do all of the things in the summer. Because I just want to support them, because I just love them, right?
Throw,
I don't care if
throw
you do
some
Southwest or
ponytail
not. I
stickers in
love
there.
you. Oh, for sure.
Let's throw
For sure.
throw some ponytail stickers,
If they
t-shirts.
send me, I will
You get
say this now. If
polos.
you guys send me your favorite Ponytails episode in the summer, at least 1 week, I'll send you. But you have to send it to me during the summer. So do it when you're feeling down. So you send me your favorite
Yeah,
Ponytails
listen to this in the
podcast.
summer.
Yeah. I'll get you going. Okay. Maybe not. Well, whenever you want to. I don't really care. And I'll send you a care package on me. Okay. But yeah, a lot of the friends that I hang out with in Colorado, I mean, I have friends that don't sell, but a lot of my friends sell. So that'll be weird being like, whose house do we want to go like hang out tonight? And it's like, oh, there's two of them. You know, we used to have five, now we got two. You know, so, but yeah,
It's
that'll
how it
be
works,
it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
dude.
Yeah.
It's so good, so good. I think it's a cool. I just want to commend you for just really looking introspectively and knowing yourself well enough to know what you want, because it's hard. The what makes it hard is it's hard for people um to understand, right? It's hard for
Mm,
people who were in Southwestern with you, like your DSLs and all those people who are still committed to for sure. Like someone like my brother. We'll just use Danny as a scapegoat because he kind of represents that person. Because if he understood,
Does Danny ever be like, stop talking about me? Like, does he ever say that?
now he doesn't listen to the show. He does.
He
I'm
doesn't
pretty
know.
certain. He has no idea. I
That's
don't think he
funny.
has any clue. Yeah, it's his loss, I
Oh
guess.
gosh.
Um,
Yeah, Danny, what are you
like,
doing?
I mean, he's been on the show, but I don't think he's heard an episode. I mean, he probably listens to like if Lee McCroskey's in, he'll like tune in because I mean it's Lee McCroskey, right?
Makes sense.
Um,
Ones that are, yeah, that's good. Good.
yeah, but what I'm saying is like those they don't want to understand because if they understood, maybe they might leave, right? It's kind of like
And that's kind of fair, honestly. Like if you want
yeah,
to be all in there, then feel that way. Like that's good. Like I was talking to Jack Wheeler, actually. I actually wasn't talking to him. It was me and a couple of friends that we were all having a conversation, but I was listening and he was like, if you're not really bought into the mission, and like what we do in the summertime, then I don't like it was almost like the biggest buying atmosphere, meaning like I'm gonna be okay with or without you. Um, to clarify buying atmosphere, I'm gonna be okay with or without you, but if you're not bought into this, then like go, right? And I
mhm,
am bought into what Southwestern does as what it does, like developing skills and character in young students. I think it's a great program.
yeah,
But if you're not bought into working 80 hours a week for a reason, and like it feels like it's not exciting, like I don't know, it feels like it's hard to get yourself there. Like it's almost a chore to get yourself there. Um, but granted, I want to say this again because if there's anybody listening that's like, well, it feels like a chore, I just want to make sure they know I felt like that for a year. Like I did that for a
yeah. You
year.
didn't just start,
Okay, like, it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm
yeah,
not into it, I'm gonna go." No, a year. Like, I did the summer, like, I did all the things, and I'm proud of myself for doing that. That's why I don't regret even feeling like that in the summer because I still did it. But it's my time, you know? I took that
mhm,
year to figure that out, and I'm
yeah.
glad, and the time after the summer, so but thank you, I
Time to
appreciate
go.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be worth mentioning too, like, you know, how you've changed, biggest lessons that you learned,
Mm,
as you look back on your career, when you think back on your summer highlights, and this is when we can kind of go back towards your second through sixth summer, is
mm.
what were some of the pivotal moments where you learned a lot about yourself, where you're like, this is what I can handle, this is what I can't handle. I guess when you think of those moments, does anything jump out at you right away? Anything come to mind specifically? Moments where you're like, man, I can't believe I kept going through that, or here's when I
Oh,
found out about how strong I can be.
this last summer was a lot of that. Um,
Really?
Alex can tell you, yeah. I might even cry like thinking about how I felt this summer. Because it was so shitty. And like it just sucked. Um, I probably called Alex. I love this.
Oh
I'm so
man.
happy. I'm crying right now.
Good.
I
Yeah.
called Alex like every single morning, like bawling to him, being like, I don't know why, but like I just don't want to do this. Like I just hated how I felt, and I was resisting it so much, and I know that I was resisting it, but it was just like, "Can you guys understand me still?" Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was just like, okay, good, I just gotta laugh, it was, like, it was just so hard, like, it was so hard, um, and I think every single day of this summer, I was like, "I am so incredibly proud of myself for still being here," um I can't believe I'm still here. Like, I'm trying to find things I'm grateful for. I'm trying to treat people well. I'm trying to believe in myself. And it's just not working. Like, I almost felt in a depression this whole summer.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's also why I get so emotional, is because it sounds so funny. Um, I think that's why I get so emotional, is because I'm just so incredibly proud of myself for doing that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it
you
was
should
just
be.
tough. And it was tough because I didn't feel like I could. I mean, I talked to Alex and I talked to AJ like all the time. Like, well, not all the time, but like every morning I called Alex. Um, and he was so nice because he had to, like, there was a weird time zone thing. So it was like right before he went to work, he would talk to me, which I don't like to do. And he was just like, no, it's the only time I get to talk to you. For, we have like 3 minutes to just say I love you and have a great day and I believe in you. I'm going to talk to you. But I was just bawling the whole time. So on top of it, I felt like I was another responsibility to him because he's already OLing. And I'm working with my two best friends that I want to be the strong woman for, but like I just can't do it. And I felt like I was venting and crying and getting all of it out. And then I would question, like, am I being a victim? Am I, not taking control? And I was like, no, you're working so hard. Like, you are physically, like, you are working every single day. Yeah, maybe you take a 10-minute break. And like, I felt bad about that. Like, there's just so many
Mhm.
things where I was like, and don't get me wrong, there's other times, like, I mean, I was off schedule, which means just like taking a longer break than you should. Um, or really just not going to work. Cause I mean, my off schedule is is taking an hour to just breathe because I can't stop crying in between doors, like I need to stop.
God.
Um,
Yeah.
it was just
My off
so
schedule is going to the
tough.
movies. So I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, yeah. So, I'm like, Alex makes fun of me because he's like, you're so hard on yourself. Like, you are so, like, your schedule is fine, Avery. And it was just so many things that I felt like it wasn't like I felt like I had to go through it, but I was going through it and I almost kind of gave up. Like, I was like, okay, you know what? I don't even care anymore. I'm just not even going to try. I'm going to try because I have to, because I'm the one in charge of these first years and helping these managers and whatnot. But like, I don't really care. I just don't care. Um, and I knew in that time that it was not the right time to make a decision to come back or not, because I was just so aware that I feel
Right.
like shit,
Really
that I
wise.
just
Really
I
wise.
just need to. And it was so tough because I loved this place and I love what it did, but I was like, for the last year, like, this has just not been it. Um, and it would be really cool to have a comeback story, and like it would be great to do that, but I don't want to do that here. And that was it. So anyway,
You will have a comeback story. This is your comeback
the
story.
less this is my comeback story, yeah. But yeah, that's something I'm really, really proud of myself for, is this last summer. There was plenty of moments my second, third, fourth, fifth summers and fifth summer, that I felt like that also. Um, but I think the summer was the most difficult, that I'm just overall incredibly proud of because it was so hard. It was
Yeah,
so
man,
hard.
that's great. Honestly, I can relate really hard because my fourth summer was like that, where I wasn't like off
Mhm.
schedule physically, I was off schedule mentally, where it just
Yeah.
every door was just like, man. And it wasn't even like, because some people, again, some people who are in like super Kool-Aid are gonna listen to this and go, "Oh, you just have a shitty attitude. If you
Yeah.
just had a better attitude." And it's like, no, you don't understand. It has not. It's your attitude can be great at the door, and you can fake it till you make it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's something else. It's like the idea of meeting another person in general to try to talk to them, whether they want to or not. Even if they were like they have kids and they need the books, it's like that is so not
It's
something in
so
my
hard.
priority list. I like don't care so much, and it's hard to care. That's why it's hard.
Mm,
You just the apathy sets in,
mm,
and apathy is a feeling, not an attitude, right?
mhm.
So it's like it's okay to because here's the thing: you had a great attitude towards your relationship. You have a great attitude towards your life in general. You have a great attitude, right? It like an
So many things
attitude's just
are going
all
great. Yeah.
yeah, like the rest. I'm young. I got no
Yeah. I got
kids.
a
Like this
great
is fucking
boyfriend.
great.
My
Yeah,
family got married. Like, this is awesome. I love, yeah,
yeah.
but this thing,
This,
one
but
thing.
this sucks, and I don't need to like this. It's okay that I don't like this. It's okay. Again, if you had been a fourth week first year, okay, bro, it's 3 months and
Right.
you haven't proven yourself. At this point, you're fucking beyond proving yourself, right? You don't need to be a
Mm,
DSL or Ron Alford or Kai Grady or these record setters to just no. And we're not all that way. It's
No, and I
okay, you
admire
know?
those people. Like, that
Oh, yeah.
takes some grit, right? But I'm not that person. So I'm just
Yeah.
not. I'm not. I'm
Or your
Avery, you know?
grit. Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is what people fail to understand. Your grit is elsewhere, right?
Right.
It's not that you can't be right. For example, Ron Alford runs, you know, 100-mile races, and it's like I don't. Not my thing. Like good job. That's fucking impressive. I want to know about your mentality. Absolutely. I
Right.
want to learn from you
Mhm.
mentality wise, attitude, right? But do I want to go run 100 miles? No. And that's
No.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to knock on doors either. That's also okay. Some people
Yeah.
will look at this and go, "Oh my gosh, you're in front of a camera and a microphone talking to strangers? That sounds terrifying." Right? Because to
Mm,
them this sounds scary. But they'll run 100 miles, right? And
yeah.
vice versa. You're great. It's just elsewhere. And that's okay. And
Mm,
it's not, you're gonna
yeah.
feel guilty. Maybe there's people, there's phases. I've talked to enough people who are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 30 summers out of the book field, and everyone goes through this like phase where it's like, maybe I'm making a mistake, maybe I should go back, or like you just feel guilty. Like Will Metscher, I was just talking to Will.
Mm,
He was we were talking. When I told him when he started with Southwestern Consulting, shout out to Will. I was like, what was the biggest difference? He goes, dude, 5 o'clock came around and it was hard to shut off, right? It was hard to like just stop. But like my coach was like,
yeah.
dude, you're done. Go home, work, hang out with your friends, like balance is because this is
Yeah.
a career. It's not an internship. So you need to balance it.
Mm,
And he had so much guilt. Like he called his coach. He's like, what do you do during lunch? And he goes, I don't know. Sometimes I eat, take a nap, catch up on ESPN. And Will's mind was just fucking blown because he couldn't
what? Yeah.
imagine that during the workday you took a nap.
Yeah.
What? But yeah, it's okay.
Mhm. It's okay.
Take a nap.
Take
Take
a
a
nap.
nap.
Take it for we're not we're
Not
all on our
if you're
own
first year,
journeys.
don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, don't take a nap. Yeah. No.
Go
Because
work.
you know what
Go to
happens?
work.
And you sleep, you say you're gonna sleep for 20 minutes and then it turns into an hour and then you feel guilty, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not the I want to take a nap. It's the holy shit, I slept way too long.
Yeah.
And now
Also,
I feel
you're
guilty
18
about
and
it.
you can do you're
You
not
can
tired.
definitely do, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
When you're 18
yeah.
and 19, you're not tired. You're bored. Go get to work.
Just go do
Go knock on the door, damn
Oh
it.
gosh. I could have like what if we recorded well, can I say that on here? I'm gonna say it anyway. What
Yeah,
if we recorded an
sure.
episode that's just for first years that they can listen to that's like, don't take a nap. Just like unmotivational, motivational shit. Like
Yeah.
just like
Don't go to the movies. Don't go to the movies. You put this phone down. Put the phone
oh my
down.
gosh.
Go knock on the door.
But then it's also like, and you know that action cures fear. But don't download Instagram. It's a stupid ad. Get to the next one.
Also, taking a nap is an action. That's action. That's you're acting. You're doing
That's
something,
true.
which is
That
so.
is an act.
And sleep cures fear because I'm not very scared when I'm sleepy, unless I'm having a nightmare,
Unless you're having a
and,
nightmare. Oh,
and then that's bad.
but can we
But
talk
that's
about
rare.
book field dreams? Haven't we? Yes, book field
Yes,
dreams.
please.
Waking up in
Sure.
the middle of the night. Well, I actually don't know if this has ever happened to you, and you might have mentioned this before on previous episodes. But waking up in the middle of the night doing your sales talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
good.
what everyone likes about the way I do business, and I'm holding a coffee pot.
Literally,
What the
one time,
fuck?
Brittany Marsh, shout out Brittany Marsh, she sat up. So her and I slept on an air mattress together half of our first summer, and she sat. She's so funny. I don't even know if she remembers the story, but I tell it a lot because I think it's so funny. She sat up and she's like, exactly that line, like, Mrs. Jones, here's what everyone likes about the way I do business. And I sit up and I go, Brittany, you're doing your sales talk. And I like try to push her back to sleep. And she goes, no, wait, shh, hang on. And she like shushed me and then went back to the sales talk. I'm taking orders today.
Oh,
You get access to the website, like just so, she's good. She's a good one.
I had a book dream recently. Actually, I had
Interesting.
my wife was following me. I think it was a thing where we did it where like I think I can't explain. It's a dream. So, but the scenario, like you just hop in the middle of a dream. All of a sudden, you're like I'm doing this.
Yeah.
and you
Oh, we're
don't
here
really
now?
know
All
the
right.
explanation. Yeah, you don't the theme and context of the situation is in your head because you're creating the reality, and so you know what's going on. So I'm just gonna drop you where I was dropped in my head, but it was like something along the lines of like she had listened to some episodes and she's been like, I want to go and see what this is like. And so I think I called my brother or whoever was selling in our area. And I was like, hey, can I just go sell for a day with like, do you have a bag and do you have a set of books, like sample case? And I'll just
Take
go,
the day off. I got it. You know, just
yeah, like I'll
kidding.
just go and we were like knocking. And I was sitting with this mom and it was like it was at a point where we'd already had been knocking for a while. And wherever we had just come from, the mom had just yelled at us. And my wife was saying something like, like, "Oh, I can't believe that lady was so mean." I'm like, yeah, she just wasn't gonna like it just was she was like saying all the things that non-book people, these
What it would
non-book people
say, yeah.
would say when
He's
following
not.
these non-bookers. Um, but we knocked and I was nailing the approach and I felt pretty good. And the lady was gonna let us in, and then I woke up and I was like, oh damn
Oh,
it, take me back. I was about to
yeah.
do killer intro. Come on.
You were
About
like
to
there. You know what's crazy is that back to psychology, that your brain still like I bet you don't like if you were to recall what you were actually saying in your dream, you probably don't remember, but in your dream, you knew what you were saying. And like you knew that you were
Yeah,
doing the sales talk,
I
which
know
is
what was
so
coming.
interesting. Yeah.
I was about to okay, so I actually had this idea for an episode while you were talking earlier, but maybe we should do it now where it's like, do you want to see how far you can go in your sales talk before you fuck it up?
Oh gosh. Oh man.
Just say it fast. You don't have to like actually like act it out. Just
Okay.
like, do you remember
Whole
it?
thing.
This
I'm gonna
is
try to do it
yeah.
fast so listeners aren't
Uh,
like, oh, this is boring. I don't want to listen. I'll
okay.
try to do it as quick as I
N-
can.
Now, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? Because you're about to
I
kill us.
want
So
you
you
to
just
go
gotta have to.
first. Yeah, I
Okay.
want you to go
And
first.
also keep in mind that the sales talk changes, is tweaked every year. So this might be a little off. But it was so you do your approach. We're just gonna start from the intro. And it's like I said, I'm a college student. I'm a college student from Nebraska, and I'm here for my summer internship. And man, I love being here in New York. I'm having a blast so far. I've gotten to meet so many cool families. Now, what I'm doing is I'm showing this system of books and websites where kids can use to help them save homework or just kind of like help them get caught up with the new ways of school, right? Now, are the kids here or dad? Is everyone here? And then you stand up and then they all come, right? Am I do Hey Billy, how's it going? I'm here to sign you up for summer school. And then the kid looks mortified. And then
It's funny because we just talked about this today.
yeah, and then the kid looks mortified. And then I'm just kidding. And then you're like, actually, I'm here to help you save some time with homework. Would that be cool? And they're like, yeah. And so then I go, cool. So how are you doing in school? A's and B's, B's and C's, C's and D's, D's and F's. Shout out Dylan Barr. So then they tell you, and then based on what they tell you, you give them the three main reasons. So you start covering some objections now. A lot of people, damn it. Now, see, this is where I start getting fuzzy. You start covering objections and you start saying something like, well, a lot of families are telling me that they really value the education here and it's a really cool thing to see in your community. People are saying that as long as if the kids are going to use it, and it's worth it, then ain't nothing they can't get. I mean, Mrs. Jones was telling me the other day that she bought a couch for $2,000 and all she does is sit on it, right? But if the kids could get help with homework and really get far in school, then it's going to be totally worth it. Then you go into covering some objections. So like if they do well in school, depending on what they answer, right? And then you do the buying atmosphere, which is like, I'll give you a quick look. Just give me a big yes or big fat no. The maybes are not so good because then I feel like I don't want to waste your time, but it's totally cool if you say no. So just stop me at any time and I'll just get on to the next door. Is that cool? And then yes. And then you do the demo.
Yep. Yeah.
How'd I do?
You're pretty spot on.
That's
Yeah.
trauma.
I mean, what's interesting is like the skeleton has always stayed the same. It's just
Yeah.
like the specific things you say are different. Like in my 6 years, the sales talk changed like really only 2 or 3 times, but it was very
Oh,
small
really?
things. COVID was in there. So that was a whole virtual selling script, which
Oh,
is also interesting because like shout out Chloe Taylor and Rachel Schwant. The first like Rachel
Rachel.
learned, yeah, well, yeah, Rachel learned like the whole sales script prior. I don't know about Chloe. I don't know what her training was before her first summer. But it's interesting because I went back to the old sales talk that I knew, but like Chloe, I've heard her do a sales talk, and it all sounds great, but she does the virtual one, which I'm like, whoa. Like, she takes out the COVID things, but just like the questions that were in there that are different. It's so
That's so
interesting that
weird.
that's like a nitpicky thing, but I'm like, whoa, like that's a different
Now,
sales talk, but it's all really the same.
it's weird that yours only changed twice because for me, every summer it was different, like way different. My first summer, in my
Mm,
opinion, was the best sales talk ever. And we went into some crazy shit. Maybe they were trying to shorten it down because the login process took longer. And it's when they started really
mm,
focusing on the websites. But
mhm.
there was a point in our intro, my first summer, where we went into like starting to compare how much baseball bats cost and
In your intro?
like, yeah. And there was baseball
Interesting.
bats, trampolines, like it was all part of like that value added where it's like the whole point of the paragraph is to point out that people spend money on their kids on dumber shit than education.
An education. Ooh,
So if you're going to spend $5,000 on a swing set for the backyard, then $500 for books is nothing,
yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
and then the line about the baseball bat was like, yeah, you buy, and or you would point out like it was in parentheses, it was like find things in the house that are the kids, and then point out how much they
on
cost.
this
So
on
it was
this
like,
Barbie house,
yeah, skateboards. So like often it was like there's
I love that
usually a
that's in
baseball bat.
there too. That's the
Yeah,
best part.
and it said that there's usually a baseball bat, and so you would be like, yeah, how much a baseball bat costs? Like, and the kid's like $300. It's like, yeah, $300, and you play what, one season of baseball a year, and then that's per kid. So there's all you play baseball. Cool. So that's $1,200, and you use it for 3 months of the year. But Mrs. Jones was saying if it's for the education, it's priceless. Would you agree, Mrs.
Right.
Jones? And then you nod your head.
Yes. You're like, I for sure agree. Yes. Yes. Education is so important. They're
Good,
with
good.
you. If they say that, they're with you. They're
How are the
there.
kids doing it nowadays? That's not how the teacher showed us. That's also in there.
That's not, yeah, that's still. You know what? I wonder if that's always going to be a thing. Like, I wonder if it's always going to be taught different than the parents were taught. Like, do you think there'll ever be a day where it's just all the same? I don't think it will. I don't think it
No,
will.
I think
No.
I will have my kids saying the same thing. That's not the way the teacher, and I think that they do that on purpose.
Really?
Yeah,
Why do you think that? Why do you think they
because
change
then,
it up so that the parents don't, or so that the kids aren't the same as the parents?
well, so that the teachers
I
have
don't like
more
the
to
way these
do.
ones turned out. Let's try this.
Yeah, this generation sucks.
Sucks. Yeah.
Let's give them this generation. They're just
It's their
looking at
math
their
skills.
phones all
Let's
day.
change the way. Actually, it does kind of make a little bit of sense. But okay, what's your theory? Sorry.
No, my theory is that they do it on purpose because the teachers like they just keep evolving the educational process to make
Mm,
it like so there's more shit that you need to buy or more things that you need to like get, more resources you need to like find.
mm,
Because why wouldn't you just teach it the same every time?
right. Well, yeah. I guess the only opinion I would have or only thought I have is like the technology's evolving, right? So of course there's going to be like new new sources and things like that. But
But if
yeah,
you're
it's
teaching a
never
kid
going
to
to be the same.
divide and multiply every year since forever, there's always been the kid that's like, that's not the way the teacher showed us to do it.
How do you even create new? Ah, man, I
Exactly.
should
That's
ask
what I'm saying.
Rachel
Like
these. I should ask
if
some
like the way that we
interesting
were taught
questions.
worked, like if I ask you what's 7 times 3, please,
7 times 21. I was gonna
good.
say, well, I
How
was
did you
thinking
know
20,
that?
yeah. 7
Because
times
you
3?
like
I just
someone
memorized
taught
it.
it.
It's just
You
there.
memorize it. It
Yeah.
works every fucking time. Every time.
Mhm.
Every time.
Yeah,
And this, I
it
went to
does.
school for math. So like I could tell you, like it doesn't change until later because that's like the new shit that we're discovering. When you get to college, it's like really weird stuff. But even like
True.
calculus is all the same.
It's true.
It's always the same.
Well, and that's what I have noticed in selling books is like it's mostly the elementary schools that are getting taught different. High
Exactly.
schoolers, it's mostly the same, and that's when they're
That's
not
all the
even really
same.
asking for help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
So
must just
why
be the way
change
that
the
they're trying to configure their brains. They're like, this is going to be a better way to make them think creatively and emotionally. We're going to do it this way. And then the next
right?
year, they're like, we don't want creative and emotionally. We want logic,
Basic.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it changes every time. Like there's been
Mm.
like you pointed out, every generation's been that way. Like I feel like my kids, I'm gonna be like, man, we are so on a tangent here, but this is fine. I don't care.
I'm trying to figure out like what the original tangent was. Like it was like it
Do you
went
remember your sales
from
talk?
no, even before that. So Alex and I, this is something that I've now paid attention to because I tend to like start a story, go on a tangent, branch off to another tangent, and he calls it. I'm actually happy he did this because he's like, "What was your original point?" But it makes sense to me. But he calls it opening tabs on like a Safari page. Like I start one tab, but then I read something, and then I open another tab, and then I read something on there, so I open another tab. And he's helped me like watch my brain, and like it almost helps. I think it's kind of helpful because it's like it helps me be present, but I start to close all the tabs and go to the original one. And so my brain is still like, we are still back on talking about how you work for other people because I was working for John Gomez. Like that's how far back my brain is still like, we still have to go. Yeah.
Well, but we closed that.
There's so many that's like, I don't know why my brain does that, and I like that it does that, but it's an interesting thing that I'm like, I still feel like there's something we haven't closed out here, but let's just keep going anyway, you know?
The original question, the original question for this little section was when I asked you, like, was there a time that you think back that you were really proud that you didn't quit? And that's started the story of like all of the things. Because we went from like your first summer, then we went into what should first years listen to this, and then we went into now. To now this, but yeah,
I just
let's take it back here. Let's take it back here because you wrote some interesting stories. A dance story about Robert.
Another dance story. Oh, okay, yes. So you earlier had said, because dance I'm having, and you said it just like that, like you said it with like an accent. Yeah, having.
Right.
Yes. And so the other day, well, this was something I wanted to bring up when we got into the what are you doing now segment.
Sure.
So what I'm doing right, what I'm doing right now, is looking for a job.
People. You guys are still listening. Wow, you guys are doing great.
Yeah, at this point.
This is me and Avery's conversation. You're just a fly in the wall for it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I hope you appreciate it though, because I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean too.
Really
and really, that's all that matters. If people don't like it, I don't give a fuck. It's about you sharing your thoughts, and I appreciate your thoughts. You're a smart person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, go for it.
So yes, I'm looking for a job. I'm in the career finding stage, which is fun because leaving Southwestern, one thing that I got to do was, for a time there, Southwestern was my life, and now being outside, I get to take more control of all parts of my life, which you can do in Southwestern. I just wasn't doing it. And now I get to. That perspective has shifted, and I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for something that's going to fill multiple cups in my life. And so the other day, I was talking to a guy named Robert Hicks. Awesome guy. Like he sells insurance. He is out of North Carolina. Shout out Robert Hicks. He's great. Connected with him via LinkedIn. And we were just on the phone the other day. It was just fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm just connecting with people. Sometimes they get into the recruiting stuff. Sometimes they don't. But it's been really awesome just like networking with people. I mean, it's only been less than 10 people, but still it's like, wow, I never would have met you before. Never would have met, I never would have met Robert Hicks had I not like posted somewhere or did something. I don't know how we got in contact. I think it was actually Facebook. And so we're on the phone the other day and we're talking about Dan and how Dan was leaving, and we were just catching up, rapport, filling in each other on each other's lives. And he's like, what's so funny is I led a team, and this team, like we had multiple teams, but I led a team that would always sit in the second row behind the team that Dan Moore was on. They always tried to get in the front row, Robert Hicks' team, but for some reason the Harvard team always beat them to the front, like even more so that they like found different ways to beat everybody else right to the front row at sales school. And Robert Hicks' team, him and a few other students, were the ones that would chant at Dan and say, yeah, you're from Harvard. You're from Harvard. And so he told me that story that they would like, and Dan actually talked to Robert at the end of his first summer and was like, you were one of the people, like it was a buddy to buddy conversation, but you were one of the people that like I had in my brain all summer just chanting, yeah, go back to Harvard. And he's like, that was something I held on to, was I needed to prove you guys wrong. But that was one of the stories that I just thought was so funny. It was a Dan story and a what am I doing now story from Robert Hicks.
Yeah.
So
that's great. It's a cool experience when you start meeting alumni or you start meeting people connected to the network in that way, and it starts working. That's been actually the most rewarding part of the show is experiencing that. where it's just like, wow, why would I have ever met you in my life?
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I know I am. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the people that make this show possible, the people that bring this show to you. These are people who all sold books, and we're here to give a quick shout out to them in a spotlight about their company and what they're up to. So if you're interested, or if after listening to this, you're kind of wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to click on the links below to connect with these people. These are from an excerpt I have with them from a podcast that I do on the side. It's called Executive Exercises, where we take all our sponsors and they come into a think tank and share some awesome ideas about how to grow their business specifically on different topics. Go check that out. But I pulled some of the comments that they had explaining what they do and who they're looking for on their companies. And so if that sounds like you, like I said, click below. Hope you enjoy. On a note from I'm trying to think, like, if I was looking into this, and for people who listening who might be like, hey, this actually, I want to learn more about this. What's the barrier to entry? Like, maybe I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, that sounds cool, but I don't know shit about insurance. Like, why would I want to go talk to people?
Yeah, the barriers to entry, I think, are really pretty low. Everybody would probably have a different opinion, but in terms to just be able to get out the door and go sell, you've got to get a license. I have my life and health license because you needed the health license at Family Heritage, or if you want to sell Medicare products or certain types of health products, you
Right.
have to have the health side. But what it takes to get either one or both of those licenses is roughly the same. You take a study course. You may need to study for 15 hours. You may need to study as many as 30 hours. But like with Cardinal, we've got a pretty cool course. From studying to getting your license can be as quick as like 7 to 10 days, if you really 15 to 20 if you're moving at a medium pace. And beyond that, if it takes you longer than that, you're just not really all that motivated to start because it's
Yeah.
not a difficult process.
Knock, knock. Last off schedule story. Guys, I want to tell you about my good friend, Alex Black. I used to work over at EnLight.Energy, and it was a pleasure working with him and that entire company. Definitely would recommend you guys check out what that opportunity is. It was a great way to make money, and it was one of the most rewarding experiences I had to help people take ownership of their power. It's pretty cool. So, on that note, let's finish up this episode. Bye. That'll do for now. Like I said, make sure you click below to get some more information. And now back to the show.
It's a really I don't know, I think from doing selling educational resources door to door, 80 hours a week. Um you get a really good perspective of what the world is in the United States is actually like. Um, and I feel like you just tend to appreciate people, genuine people, smart, like just high caliber people so much more. And that's what Southwestern family companies for Advantage produces, is just those types of people. So
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
the camaraderie and the respect for people who have done this, but also just knowing like your brain works different because you did this. Like your brain, you must think different if you're willing to go work 80 hours a week selling educational systems door to door.
I mean, something's got to be different about you.
Something's got to be going on up there to get you to do that. Good or bad, I don't know, but you did it. So
Something. Yeah,
something.
I,
Yeah.
I always think like we are ponies ourselves. Like part of the reason this is called ponies is because like the people that bought, but also
Mm,
because like you have to be a pony to hear this opportunity and be like, I want to do that. Like,
yeah.
sign me up. My parents said no. I have no money. I have never had any sales experience. There's no reason why I should even do this, but I'll do this. That's a pony.
That is a pony. It is a pony. It does take, I mean, they say this. This is something that I've heard from AJ a lot. Shout out AJ Skolsky. Is if you even think about doing this, like if you even train for like any like I give props to you because to even think about doing something like this is incredible. And that's what's really weird about it is it's a rarity, but you're like not a bad you're not a bad rarity. Like to consider this is
Yeah.
like you have something within you that wants to grow or do hard things, and that I respect you for that. I just think that's a really, really cool
Yeah.
thing.
Even even if you went sold and you quit,
Yeah.
like I mean, the quitters are that the Q word is not a word that you want to bring up
Early
with
champions,
TSLs.
you know.
Yeah, early champions. There you go. but
But if you
like
quit, yeah.
even if someone, I mean, I'm not gonna say any names, but my third summer, so Danny's second summer, we recruited a kid, and I worked closely with Danny's team, training them,
Mm,
especially after his first summer, and
right.
this kid had, I mean, a rough day. He had a rough couple of days, 0 days, like all of the crazy shit that we thought could happen to you that isn't like fatal or like going to the hospital or got bit by a dog, but just like the basic types of rejection that you prep them for, getting yelled
Mhm.
at, gun on you, that stuff. And and then the third summer, someone spit on his face. Like he was giving the approach and someone just straight up spit on his face, like when he was mid approach. It was like it's on his third day. And then he went home. And honestly, I'm like, you know what? Fair. Like,
Good.
I mean,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
know we said you were gonna finish the whole summer. I know we talked about how you were gonna finish and be number one first year, and really, you probably had what it takes to be that person. But if it's my third day at this new fucking job and someone spits in my face as I'm talking to them, I don't know, man.
I
Like,
don't know. I don't know.
you know what I'm saying? It's not even that big of a deal in the long, but just can like the degradation of like, it's like, wow, you spit
Yeah.
on someone's face,
Yeah.
you know?
I've worked with some students that have felt like, well, and that's what's okay. So I love humans, but sometimes humans freaking suck.
No,
Like they're
no.
just mean,
Let me
And like
rephrase it. Can I?
I'm not a negative person at all, but there are some
No, we
people out
suck.
there.
We all
We suck.
suck. We all suck. No,
We all
it's the
do. Like
opposite.
it's
We all suck, and it's beautiful that we can love each other because honestly, we shouldn't because we all suck. Like that's how I see it.
really okay.
Sorry to
So
interrupt.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that you know what? I'm so happy because I'm a person that's like I trust people and
Oh yeah.
I look for the good instantly in
Mhm.
people. Like that is like, and I love that. And I love that. But actually, thanks to people in the world, I've learned that people suck,
Yeah.
because most people,
Oh yeah.
and I don't know, I wouldn't say most people. I'm grateful that I'm able to have a group of people around me wherever I go in my life that are pretty positive people, right? Um, but there's some suckers out there that just want to take the life out of you. Um, and I had a point with this, and now I lost it because I'm just so stuck on the fact that
Get stuck in the he spit in the face. I'm trying to remind you of the
spit
thought.
in the face,
Dude gets it, and you're like, I love people, but
degrading.
some people just
I
suck
love
after doing this
people.
job.
Yeah, they just suck. Oh, so that's where, like you said, like, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal, right? Getting spit on the face, but also to be degraded. And I've worked with some people that just make other people, like, I have trained and lived with people in doing Southwestern Advantage that felt that way. And like, I hear what people say to them, and there's like, I have absolutely no coaching for this. That person sucks. You don't have to put a smile. Like, there's been some times where I'm like, I actually don't know how you feel right now because that sounds terrible and I've never been treated like that. Like it was race specific, right?
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say this
just
happens often with
yeah,
race, and when what
it's
and to
race
be
and
honest
it's
with
race
you, when
specific.
a white woman owns up to that, as a brown man, I can tell you I'm proud. Like I thank you for saying that.
There's just like there's nothing. It was um a young Asian lady and someone said to her, and this is not like it just sucks. She just the person said go back to China. And I was like there was no point where I was like, I just can't. You feel like that comment makes you feel like you're not enough. Like if someone says, "Get the hell off my property," or if someone says, like, "You shouldn't be soliciting here," and you can just feel the anger, but what they're saying is not matching, like they just want you off your property. Like that's what they're saying too. But then when someone is so direct to be like, to come at you as an individual, like I just don't, you suck. Like, like you are a person that sucks to come at this. Like, she like is the best person ever. I love this human being till the day I die. Like, I want to protect her with my whole life because she is awesome. And I can't do that. And that's what sucks. That's what sucks. It's that
Mhm.
people just suck. The world just sucks. But that's also why I like Southwestern because the world does suck. And you're preparing
Yeah.
yourself for the world that sucks.
Yeah, the
Like,
world is full of shit. That is the whole point of the story, right? There's manure
the
everywhere.
whole point of this episode is the world sucks.
It
Boom.
does. It does. It does. And honestly, this is gonna sound cynical, but I promise this is the most positive thing. This is positive, I think. It's the same thing where it's like when it's raining, you're like, it's liquid sunshine. No, it's not. It sucks to sell books, paper books in the rain. But that's not
Right.
what it's about. It's not about whether the world sucks or not. It does. We can just answer that question. So get over that. Accept it.
Right.
The world sucks. Now that we know that, what are you gonna do about that? How
What
are
are
you
you gonna
gonna make
do?
it
And
suck
that's
less?
what's
How
so
are you gonna make it
admirable.
better?
Like,
That's what you want to say.
yeah,
I don't know.
that's like, well, and
For me personally.
no, I agree. I completely agree. I feel like when you're in, like, I think it's almost like the way that you grow is recognizing like this does suck. Like, you know what? Liquid sunshine is bullshit. This sucks.
This
But
is awful. Yeah.
what's really cool is that I'm choosing to do this anyway. Right? Like you I technically don't have to go to that door. I feel like I have to go to that door, and I feel like the best thing to do in this summer is to go to that next door. I don't want to, but what's really cool about myself or about what you're doing, if you're listening to this, is you're gonna go there anyway. And you can tell people about the shitty time that you did that anyway. And that's really cool. Like that you're growing and making that tough
Yeah.
decision. It does suck. All of it sucks. That's the point of it. We do it because it sucks.
Yeah.
Like
That's if it didn't
we do
suck, you wouldn't
yeah.
go do it. That's a whole
No.
idea.
No.
Like that's the whole point. And that's
Right.
what life is too. My brother, I've told
Right.
the story before on the show, but we were rock climbing, and he doesn't like it. I thought he would love it. I think both people would love rock climbing because of the challenge aspect of it. I thought
Mhm.
he was gonna love it. I'm like, I fell in love with rock climbing. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be awesome. And after he's like, yeah, I still don't get it. Like, I like running marathons, and that sounds like a challenge because we're meant to run, but human beings were meant to like climb mountains, like physically, biologically. I'm like, that's fair. Like the danger aspect of it, that's really bad if we die. Like it's not in our we're
We
supposed to run.
fall.
We're
Yeah.
like we are the best beings at running long distances, and it's not even close. That's why it makes us the dangerous predators that we are, because we won't get tired chasing our food, right?
Mm.
But I said, you know what, Danny? And I looked at him and I'm like, you know what? You're right. Mountains, we were not meant to climb them. We were not built for that. That's not our thing. But mountains were built to be climbed. So
Yeah.
I guess it's up to you. And he just looked at me and he's like, oh,
It
fuck.
was like not expecting like a, oh gosh. Andres, what? What? Yeah.
Damn it. And that was like after his second or third summer. And that's the same idea. Like we were
Yeah.
built to no part of our genealogies or genealogy or in our genealogy leads to the biology of us needing to go and talk to every human being that we can find to sell them something or to connect with them in any shape or way. Like we're supposed to have tribes. We're not built for that. We're not built to get
Mhm.
rejected over and over and over and over and over to the point where it
No.
feels personal. Not built, but we are built to lead challenging lives and grow from hardships. That we are built that way. We're really good at
Mhm.
that as human beings. We're good at recovering and learning
Mm.
from mistakes. So wouldn't it make more sense to just go put yourself through a shit ton of them to
Learn
accelerate
from
the
them
learning?
quicker. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Go sell books. It's so much. I gotta tell you, there's a buddy of mine right now. He texted me earlier today, Kyle Downey. I'm gonna shout out Kyle because he listens to the show
Shout out
sometimes.
Kyle. Yes.
He's a really cool dude. He's the kind of guy, you have this friend, and if you're listening you have sold multiple summers, you know this person. This is the kind of person where like a long time ago, I was like, dude, you need to come sell books. And he's like, not for me, not for me. And then later on was like, I should have sold books. And you're like,
Ah, yeah.
like I told you.
Close friend. Yep. Yep.
So he's doing this other business, like high intensity course, similar to Southwestern, but they teach him how to do all sorts of different sales. And this week's curriculum has him going door to door. And so he texted me and he was like, if you had to give me one piece of advice, I have to sell door to door. I have to sell this product door to door. What would be the piece of advice that you would give me if it was like just the one thing? And I'm like, fuck, where do I start? Like, I'm like,
Yeah. What's the one thing I
I,
should tell you? Yeah.
I thought of technical stuff like stand sideways at the door, smile, talk slow. And I'm like, no, that's really not it. Like, how do I and then I think I said if it had to be one thing tonight, I would say embrace rejection. Because I feel like that's both
Mm.
technical and emotional. Like when people tell
Mm.
you no, it's a skill to be okay with getting told no.
Mhm.
But at the like both emotionally and technically, because you can like almost seek that no
Yeah.
faster from a technical standpoint. Like the faster you tell me no, the quicker I can get to a yes mentality. But at the same time, like life's gonna tell you no a lot because as we determined
Mm.
earlier, the world sucks. And so you're gonna get told no. Might as well get used to it now. And that's what I gave him. He goes and he did an hour and he was like he's like, how many people did you talk to before you sold something? I'm like, I mean, it depends on who you are. I would say 10 people on average for like the people that are cranking it in Southwestern. If you talk to 10 humans, one would buy. That's a 10% closing rate. And he goes, wow. And I go, yeah, there's some people that do it every 4. And then
Yeah,
there's some people
there
who
are.
have a record that like Sheridan McDonald has a record for 24 people in a row that he talked to,
That's
sat
what
down with.
Alex talked to 24 and got 22. 22
Yeah.
customers. Like, how do you do
Can you
that?
imagine?
Anyway.
And I said that to him, and here's his quote. He goes, "That's insane that people can do it. Like, how the fuck? How in the world is this possible?" I was like, "Yeah, you truly begin to understand the kind of people I interview when you go do it yourself. They're freaks of nature." And he goes, "Literally, I just spent an hour over lunch, and I just can't understand how people sold books for 14 hours a day. Like, it's just funny to so I just wanted to share that with you because I was today and I'm like, that's an
Yeah, yeah.
interesting, like to him, like I was like, wait till you meet Ron Alford or like some of these crazy just freaks of nature that can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild.
I mean, even yeah, I don't but that's the thing. It like how like I wonder like what was so interesting to me about this my first summer. And it was just so basic. It was just so emotional and even long-term emotional. Like it was logic, but it was also emotional, right? Like I just saw and I thought that this would be worth it. And emotionally I was just like, yeah, like it just doesn't how does it I don't know. I don't know.
But here's the fun part, and we can get into some ponytails. Is I think, would you agree with the statement? Is even the sales skills themselves, like the closing, right? That
Mm,
even those are secondary to what really was important to you to get out of that summary, which was like understanding yourself
mm,
enough in all these different situations that you got this unconditional confidence to just tackle kids, parents, marriage, death, taxes, sickness. Okay.
everything. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's my thought. I don't give a shit about the closing. I mean, sure, I know how to close someone. Cool. But like
Yeah.
the emotional intelligence of it, I don't know where I can find that elsewhere besides just living for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a yeah. I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I guess I did this for my parents because they worked really hard for me. And I was like, this is my way to prove to you that I can also do that. And just knowing, I don't know, I wanted to prove that, like you said, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something this hard because it'll help me regardless. Just a interesting way of thinking. Students out there who are going to do this in the future, just keep going because even if it's tough,
Yeah.
it'll get easier.
You'll
Yeah.
be okay. It's not
It'll
gonna
be
kill
okay.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although some people have died, but that's okay. It's probably not you.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
On the other hand, babies have been made from this. Absolutely.
hmm Yeah.
So life and death. It's all in there.
It's beautiful. It's just this beautiful thing that this beautiful journey that we're on. You know?
Circle of life. All right, you want to get into some ponytails? You want to tell me some funny, crazy, outrageous stories?
For sure. All right. So give me some. We
Oh,
had some
gotcha.
mind
Some prompts,
joggers.
some
Yeah.
prompts. And this is good for people to listen who maybe this is their first episode. They're like, what the hell is he talking about ponytails? Okay. So
Yeah.
the last part of the show, could be anywhere from 5 minutes or it could be half an hour sometimes. I don't care. Sometimes it's been an hour actually. Um, But what we do is we open it up right now for Avery to talk about some of her favorite memories. So to give you an idea of things we've heard, people have told us about their most important leadership lessons that they learned, the biggest customers they ever got, or like the biggest weeks they ever had, and like the flow that they were in when they were just really jamming and selling a lot of books. We've had people who got arrested, people who've had abortions, people who shit their pants. People who are doing drugs on Sizzler, people who met their spouses and how they met their spouses, people who overcame amazing circumstances and created a sense of self-worth that wasn't there before with a really fundamentally different attitude that really changed your life. Positive, negative, funny, tragic, sad, happy. We've had them all. So that's kind of the idea. By the way, all of those things I told you, all those examples have been legit ponytails on the show. So I'm not, this is not a hypothetical. This is what happened before.
Yeah.
177, you learn to hear, you've heard a couple.
Man. Okay. Well, one ponytails that I think is kind of funny is actually how Alex Har and I started dating. It's a quick one. This
Ooh,
will
a
be, yeah.
romance story. Yeah,
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Alex Har and I have been dating for about 5 years now. God help us bring, this to continue. I love him so much. I'm so grateful for him. We've broken up twice in our 5 years. We've been apart twice we've been apart 7 months total in those 5 years. 2 breakups, and we started dating after my first summer, after his second summer, which is just funny because in the realm of Southwestern, there is a conversation to be had about like, hey, I know you just finished your first summer. There are all these really confident and attractive, I like males, so there's all these really confident and attractive males. They're all
Your
really
age again.
great. Yeah, they're all my age or older, a couple
They're
years.
no
which is-
longer high school kids that you met in the
No,
woods.
they are not. Yeah, they're not these high school boys that just came to college that are still in high school mode. Like they are really hardworking, but keep in mind there's still a lot. Like not all of them are these incredible Southwestern high people that you're thinking of right now, right? Like it's a conversation to be had, and so I had that conversation with a few people after my first summer. And Sizzler comes around. So actually, what had happened was there's there's a meeting in Jacksonville, Florida, or in Florida, right after the summer. Typically, it's called like the kickoff or the check-in, and it's kind of like this is how our year went, and this is how this is what we're thinking for upcoming strategies and recruiting stuff, sales stuff, whatever, leadership stuff, life stuff. Really fun meeting. It's on the beach, so I mean, really fun. And at that meeting, so all summer long, I had heard this girl's name, Katie Har. I had heard Katie Har all summer long. Her and I were both first years. She was in a different state selling somewhere else. And I heard her name all summer. And I was like, whoever this girl is, it wasn't like like I don't remember having this thought, but whenever you heard her name, it was just like, oh yeah, Katie Har. Like she's doing really good. Like, oh, she's doing really good. And we go to this meeting in Jacksonville. And Katie's not there, but Alex Har is there. And so I was like, oh, you're Katie's brother now. Like that's who you're Katie's brother. It wasn't Alex Har. He to me was Katie's brother, right? Just kind of a weird like label almost. Like yeah. And he was actually talking to this other girl who also just finished her first summer. Sorry to put you under the bus, Alex. I love you. And I was judging him. He knows this. He knows all of this. Like I was judging him. I was like, I can't believe you're talking to a first year at this meeting. Like you guys must have just met. Like there's no way that you guys can already be like, I was so judgmental. I was so like, I was actually more judgmental towards the girl, which she's probably not going to listen to this. I don't know. She did, whatever. I was a little more judgmental to the girl because I was like, really? Like you're going to fall for a boy that fast? Like, I don't know. And so I didn't really like him, but I met him and he was friends with people that I was friends with. And this is now Alex Har. So I get a FaceTime about a month later from a random number, and I answer it. And it's Alex Har, and he's asking me to come to this trip that he's planned. A bunch of book kids are going to go. We're going to rent out a cabin in Colorado, and we're all going to pay, we're going to split the cost of the Airbnb and for food and for alcohol. Like, you should come. Brittany Marsh, again, shout out Brittany Marsh. Brittany said she would go if you go. So we really think you should go. And I was like, sure, whatever, sounds fun. Right after New Year's, and I get off the phone with him and my college roommate. We lived in a house together my sophomore year, and she's sitting on the bed with me as I'm talking to him. And I get off the phone and I was like, all these Southwestern boys are so flirty. Like I was just like convinced that because he was like what he did. It was so clever. He like used the sales talk to ask me to come to this trip. But I just thought it was just like something Southwestern boys did, like just being flirty and whatever. But he was like, "Yeah, this is Alex Har. I'm a student from Colorado. Um, you must be Avery
Have you
Housley,
not heard
right?
about me
Brittany's
yet?
friend." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And then he went through like all the steps, and it was just funny. Um, and I
Started
remember saying
asking how
that to
you were
her,
doing in
like,
school. You're like, "Are you getting A's and B's, B's and
yeah,
C's?"
yeah. Um, it was good. And I just remember getting off the phone being like, gosh, all these Southwestern boys are so flirty. And anyway, Sizzler comes around and Sizzler's like, this is one thing that him and I both, and I don't know, whatever, it was Sizzler. Like him and I both don't
Sizzler.
fully remember the moment that we met. Like we don't either of us like really know. He says
Because
that
it
I
was
came
so
up to
long
him.
ago.
Right. That's exactly right. That's why we don't know.
Had nothing to do
No,
with the
but
unlimited alcohol, but
exactly. Exactly. He says that the first night, because we had developed like a small relationship, I came up to him and locker boxed him. Um, I kind of remember that, but I mean, it could just be like, oh, yeah, that's something I would do. But I do remember the second night at the club. Um, Him and I were kissing. We were whatever.
oh shit!
And I remember though, because like I liked him. Like I really liked him. And I had been told not to do this and I stopped him. I remember specifically being like, no, and just looking at him and saying, I am not hooking up with anybody on this trip. Like I am not doing that. That is not something that I'm doing here. Um, because I mean, I
Yeah,
was a young college lad,
fair.
whatever, and I just
Last,
like,
yeah.
no, I'm not like. First of all, in this company, that is not what I want to be known for. Like, I'm not. I don't hold myself like that. Like, that's not. That's not. And whoever wants to do that, I don't care. You go do it, have fun. But that's not me. Um, and he just looked at me and he goes, "Okay, well, do you want to go get a drink then?" Yeah. And literally from that moment, like the rest of Sizzler, we hung out, like slept in the same bed with Brittany Marsh, us three every night. It was great. Like it was just like the most wholesome like meeting. He
Total
had we
Hallmark movie.
Yeah, yeah. He asked me to be exclusive at the end of the trip. We talked about being exclusive at the end of the trip. And
In 3 days, you guys went from I barely had
yeah.
met you to we are
Because we had
now an
just spent
exclusive
like
couple.
because in the mornings of Sizzler when
Wow.
it's quiet and you're not drunk yet and you're hanging out, like we hung out, like we
You're
talked.
hungover instead. You're just
Yep,
hung.
exactly. But we did. I really liked him. He really liked me, and I bought a plane ticket to go there. 3 weeks later, I spent a week there. Also, didn't do anything there. Um,
Good, good. You guys earned
yeah.
it. You guys
Well,
really
I
built a
really liked him. Like
relationship.
that was the weird part of like 'cause I know Avery back then, and, like, she was like, "Fun? Yeah, sure, I'm there." But for some reason, I was like, "I don't wanna do that with you, like, I like you too much."
Yeah.
Like, I just felt like he was someone I wanted to always be friends with, and I know that usually doing the other stuff doesn't always work like that,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um
Not to judge people who, lead the
right.
relationship. There's
I
people
was
who
there. I
started
was
that
the
way first. Yep. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah,
But for you, that's what
yeah,
just worked for you. That's
yeah.
sweet. And
So
then did
that's
you
yeah.
so now looking back, so it's been you said 5 years. That's so wild.
Mhm.
He he seems like a super awesome dude. I'm excited to get to know him whenever he comes on the show.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. Good for you.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think some of those breakups, like, I mean, you can view it how you want. We could have worked through that, like being where we are now. I'm like, yeah, we could have,
Yeah.
but we just didn't understand ourselves enough both times. Like it was good to develop and neither of us were really looking for anything else in those breakups, but it's like we kind of needed that time just to let ourselves grow to be where we are now. Like if that
Mhm.
hadn't had happened, I don't know if our relationship would be the same,
Yeah.
but
My wife and I broke up, and it was
does
just like
everybody
that.
just
It
break
was
up nowadays? Just kidding.
yeah, and looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, we both needed that for sure. Like, I mean, at least I
Mm,
did for sure. There was a lot of stuff I found out about myself after that, but
mhm.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand, dude.
that's a
Sizzler story,
ponytail.
Sizzler relationship though. That's a good ponytail. A Sizzler
Sizzler,
relationship
I
story.
don't he did break his ankle that first Sizzler, which was an interesting that's not really a crazy story, just like he had the right intentions and then he broke his ankle. Um, He was let me
We'll let
expand.
we'll
He was,
we'll
yeah,
hold on,
yeah.
should we let him tell that story when he comes
Yeah,
on
we should
here?
let him tell that
That
story.
might be a
Yep.
story for another time. All right, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wanna hear it, but I'm almost like, I mean, I don't wanna be like I wanna be surprised by him when he
Yeah.
kinda like when Maddie Whalen broke her hip on Sizzler, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
shit." Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I never, honestly, my career, if I really, really thought crazy into my career, there might be some crazy stuff, but
You never shit your pants?
never shit my pants.
Lee McCraskey did that.
I never, that's a good story. I never, no car crashes on the field. I did rear end somebody, and just paid her $300 to just like take care of it because my car was fine and her car was fine. I just didn't want to deal with it. So I said, take this. And she did.
Damn.
Oh, I mean, there's a story once when I was doing a sit down and a mom came up to me, like another mom from the neighborhood came up and was like, I just hope you know what she's doing here. And I'm like I'm not there, like just talking. Yeah. I just hope you know what she's doing. There's been a white van that she's been following and, yeah, we're pretty sure she's like kidnapping children.
It's
Sitting there
amazing
like,
how
what do you
often you
want me to
hear
do?
people
Like, do you
jump to
want
that.
me? And then I started crying and she was like, those are really cute tears, honey. And I'm like, oh my God. All right. And so this mom that I was actually sitting down with was so awesome. She didn't buy anything, but she was just like, man, I actually have no idea who that girl is. Like she was just so like, what just happened?
You know,
But yeah,
I
nothing
wish
too crazy.
Southwestern
Or
should
maybe I just
beef
don't
up
think
their
it's that
legal
crazy.
department. Yeah, right. Southwestern should beef up their legal department. And anytime that happens, like you should be able to call and be like, "I'm suing you for defamation,"
Is that
like
what that's called? Is
immediately.
that what defamation is?
Yeah, yeah, and slander. Yeah, there's like slander's when it's on a written format, I believe. But yeah, like if and because what happened is that came from somewhere. She didn't get
It
to
was
that thought on
Facebook.
her
I
own.
saw it on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So, and then that is slander and defamation. Absolutely, especially when it has to do with affecting your
Mm.
business and your income, and you can totally sue for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
I
it's
should
like,
sue
bitch,
a
this is how
lot
I
of
pay for
people.
school. What are you doing? Oh yeah. Oh, there's so many people I wish I would have sued. Honestly,
Oh
but
man, bad PR. If there was one of my biggest challenges, it was bad PR. I care a lot about what other people think about me. So bad PR was just like, I feel like
ooh,
everybody thinks I'm a terrorist. Like everybody thinks I'm doing something wrong and I'm not. And that was so hard. It was tough. I hated bad
yeah,
PR.
and it happens. And if you're listening,
It
you're
just
selling,
happens.
it's probably and it's happening to you. It's okay. Just keep
It's
knocking.
okay. Just keep knocking. Post
That
post
way,
stuff on Facebook. Make everybody share your post. Not make.
yeah,
Ask. Ask everybody to
that
share your post.
that way you're the good guy or gal
Yeah.
or person in
Yeah.
general.
Or person, whatever you want to be.
Yeah, that's right. Dang girl, dang girl, dang girl. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, well, you know what? Here's how we're gonna end. We're gonna end with the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll close this one out so that way people have a cool thing to hold on to. So here comes rapid fire questions. First thing that come to mind. Um, just hit us with it. Okay, number one, favorite territory, county or city.
West Virginia, Oldham
Done.
or McDowell County.
So many people say West Virginia.
I
I need to
forget
go
about
home.
West Virginia.
Favorite kind of turf, whether it's like big break, suburbs,
Low
really, really,
income country. Where
yes,
the
baby.
drugs are at. It's not
That's
that I want them, but like I just love those people. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
they are the
I
best.
love them.
Ah,
I
that
love
low
them.
income country, or that like kind of middle to high income country too. There's like a where it's
Oh,
like,
where it's just
but
like the houses are
but it's super
still,
country.
yeah. I love the country. Yeah, I love the
Yeah,
country. Just overall.
one,
Yeah.
but my favorite is where a double wide is money. You know what I'm saying? We're like, oh,
Oh
that's a
yeah.
double
Where
wide.
they're
We're
but
gonna
you know what's
buy.
funny is they're like actually rich, like the double wide, like they actually have a lot of money, but they choose to live in a double wide. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm
those
saying.
are
When
really
you
cool
see someone
people.
in a
Yeah.
double wide and they have like toys in the yard, and you're like, dude, these people are gonna buy a bag. I know it.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
gonna, they're gonna
yeah.
love me. They're gonna know what I'm doing. They're gonna offer me lemonade. I'm gonna get fed. This is gonna be awesome. It's the best.
Yes. Yes.
Favorite advanced sales tape.
I would say, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it. I think it's Ron Alford. I think it's Ron Alford, his or Kevin Johnson numbers game.
Oh, Kevin Johnson's numbers. We
Or
would have
Ryan
Kevin Johnson on
Groom
the show.
card numbers game 1. Those are all so
Yeah,
good.
like the aces, kings, jack. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. I wish
really
I
good.
listened to more of Virgie's because I feel like Virgie thinks a lot like I do, but I didn't get to. Ah, man. But those
So
ones are
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, everybody. I should say besides the Bill Zizzy, Dave Rosen, because I mean that's like everyone's favorite. You know, the
Mm.
advanced sales, the Zizzy one with Dave. So good.
I don't think I've
Favorite.
ever shared that.
I guess you have. Oh, gotta sell
Have
books
I?
again. You've heard of Bill Zizzy's and Dave
I didn't
Rosen's.
really listen
Everybody.
to advanced sales a lot, honestly. That was one thing I lacked in my career was like really getting technically educated. I listened to music when I sold.
And or the Ponytails podcast, of course.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Favorite.
Actually, yes. I did.
Oh,
Amberly
really?
Kessler, shout out Amberly Kessler. I did listen, yes. Yes.
Favorite HQ.
My favorite HQ was either my third summer with Sue Krisnick in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or with Rachel Schwant and Nina. I don't even remember Nina. I don't even remember her last name. She was awesome. That was in West Virginia. It was a trailer. It was a single wide with an add-on, and it was awesome. It was great. Like it was everything.
It's a great
Nina was
HQ.
gone a lot, so it was really just us in this single. Like it was Rachel and I being roommates in a single wide. It was great, and sharing a bunk bed.
The water was cold. That water
It was
gets
good.
really cold.
It was good.
Favorite product to sell.
Black books, study guides.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel it.
Easiest
I love
product to
sell.
sell, kids book. Favorite product to sell, black books.
I always thought the CEA was a slam dunk. If you had an
See,
A,
I
if you
wish.
had
I
if you
wish.
had a B plus student average or more, like a B through A plus student, that was the easiest. Sophomore and up. Oh,
Yeah.
just give me $300.
My one of the kids I worked with was at that level. He's like, because he struggled with the ACT, took the ACT, and he's like, this, like he did training and he decreased. So he's like, this would have been like the actual practice test and all the stuff. And like, I just never really got there. Like, I never really did the research to be even more convicted in it. But I could see why you say that because that's a really good product. That's a
Honestly, it's from value to dollar like standpoint. I think it's the best that Southwestern
It's the
has.
best because people do spend literally
So
$1,200
much.
on
Yeah.
just SAT and ACT training for like
Yeah.
6-hour
Or
sessions, right?
or on that training in a classroom. Like they spent
Right.
because it's what's it called? It's the Princeton Review, and they spent money on the Princeton Review. It's just the take home Princeton Review, and it's like so cheap. They could charge $1,000 for it, and that's still, in my opinion, worth it. If you get
especially if
4
you're
more
going to
points on
college,
your
like
ACT,
you
and
are
then
going
you
to
get
save.
a scholarship because of that. Oh yeah, it's so worth it. Yeah,
So worth it.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Favorite overall summer.
My 6th summer.
Good.
If I wasn't gonna say my 6th, I'd say my 4th. It was the first time I hit growth, so that was just really exciting to figure out some things in selling. But my 6th summer, it's the one I'm most proud
of. Best sales day, whether in units or just because that was your favorite sales day. It doesn't have to be. It can be units if you want, but
well, units for all the unit people out there. I think it was 257, and
nice.
my favorite sales day was actually when Rachel Schwant followed me because it was still a 100-unit day, which was new to me at the time and really exciting. But I also was just showing her how you do the job. Like I wasn't even thinking about that. And it was funny because she had a really, I think she talked about this on her episode. She had a really terrible day her first day and she wanted to leave. And I was like, just come work with me. Like you'll figure it out. You know, you'll see how fun you can have, how much fun you can have, or how much fun I have. And I had a ton of fun. And then she went out and crushed it. So it was a really cool day.
That's a rewarding day. And then last but not least, favorite breakfast spot.
Oh, Tudor's Biscuits, West Virginia. Biscuits and eggs and bacon for like $3 every day. Definitely gained 15 pounds that summer, but I don't care. It was so good. It was so good.
Take me home, country road.
Country road to the place. Oh, so
How
good.
often did you listen to that? West Virginia.
Well, so me and my friends, well, Rachel and I that summer, and a few others were really into EDM, so we found that remix, played that all the time. Mhm. Still do, honestly. Anytime I hear that song, I'm like, I love that place.
It takes you
That
back.
special place. It
Yeah.
really takes me home.
The song for me, the song that takes me back is Springsteen by Eric Church. Takes me back to my first summer. That's how I learned to love country music. It was great.
That actually, I will concur with you. The book field helped me love country music.
Yeah. And Jesus,
Mm.
but also country music.
Amen.
There you go. The two biggest things in America.
True. Let's go.
And on that note, I think we call this an episode.
Yeah. Oh man, thanks so much, Andres.
This is a blast. Thank you for being here. You're great. Good to have you part of the team. Oh man. And just so you guys know, if you listen to us this far, what Avery's doing here on the show is she is helping us build a community of our listeners. And so if you're a listener and you want to get more involved, get connected with other people who are fans of the show, and start kind of creating like a community of fans of the show, Avery's going to be the point of contact. She's going to be organizing cool contests that we can do, different ways that we can connect, get together, fun contests we can have, giveaways and stuff like that for being a loyal listener. So thank you so much for being one of those. If you are already, just know that there's some rewards and recognition coming your way now that we have a person in-house that can definitely spice things up and make it fun for people who are regular listeners. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Andres Gambo. This has been the Ponytails Podcast with Avery Housley, and hope you guys enjoyed the show. Catch us on the next one. Peace out, everyone. Bye.